to another episode of Under Further Review. I think we're up to episode 35 now, but it's the heat of March Madness, Final Four starting up. I figured that's where we should start. During the beginning of March Madness, when everybody was making their brackets, a lot of people were talking about it on sports talk radio and podcasting. I heard the word chalk thrown around a lot, and that's typically you kind of know who the dominant teams are going in, the number one seeds, the number two seeds. We kind of had that feeling that they were going to make big runs. So that's the reality of it. That's what kind of happened this year. And now we're seeing 4 number one seeds in the Final Four. It's the first time since 2008 that's happened. It's the second time in the history of March Madness that we have 4 number one seeds in the Final Four. I guess I'll start with this. Before we get into the teams and talk a little bit about them, I will start with, do you feel like this is good for NCAA basketball? Having the teams that dominated the regular season, won their conference championships, make this magical run? Or are we banking on, I guess, Cinderella stories every year, and when it doesn't happen, it kind of takes away from the ratings? Mike, I'll shoot it to you. What's your thoughts on that?
So no, I don't think it's good. I'm a big proponent of NIL. Obviously, I mean, you have talked in the past extensively about it, especially when it comes to football. But like, this is like the magic of March Madness is the small seeds beating the large seeds. You know, like the 15s beating the 2s and stuff like that. And I feel like we're not going to have that anymore because it's what's your school's endowment, what kind of money they have to throw around now plays a huge factor, and I just feel like it's going to sap the fun out of that. We had a couple upsets this year, but nothing that really.
What are you laughing
I would
at?
say
Have you looked at your name yet?
So
No. I thought you were laughing because of that. There was a huge.
This is.
I just found out tonight on
Did you
Riverside
make that your
change
name,
people's
or did
names.
Macri do that?
So
I don't like the second part.
I was waiting for him to notice. The good thing on the final product, you don't see the name, so they don't really know what we're laughing at right now.
Small wiener.
It says melanin.
I was
everybody.
laughing
It says,
because you
like,
see
we're
that
in
bright
middle
light in the
school
top
again.
left
Dugan's
corner.
name
I
in
kept
middle
doing like an
school is
eclipse.
Melanin. There we go.
Yeah, I didn't even see the name at the bottom.
I thought he finally noticed his name.
Melanin.
And that's
I was a minute in. I was already zoning out. I was using my head as
Anyway.
eclipse.
So yeah, I do not think it's good. Yeah, I don't think it's good for basketball. I'm going to throw it back to Dugan his opinion now.
I mean, it's been 17
He didn't
years.
remember
I
the
don't
question.
think it's terrible. It's kind of similar to the way we felt about the college football playoffs. When the quarterfinals and the semifinals, I think there might have been one competitive game between all of them. I mean, it's years like these where you sort of appreciate the years where, maybe there's, 6 or 7 double-digit seed upsets. And by upsets, I typically mean like 12 and above. And even 12, it sort of depends on the matchup. I don't think many people thought Colorado State was a underdog. I think McNeese State was probably the only legitimate upset this year. And that was more or less because Clemson shit the bed the first half. I think you can see by the second half, they pretty much ran out of time. But it'll be interesting to see if it's a long-term effect of this NIL system, even though it's sort of been the reality of college basketball for 2 or 3 years. And I don't think we've been complaining the last 5 years at a lack of upsets. So I think we also need to take into consideration, I think we talked about this before the tournament even started. I don't know much about college basketball, but I knew like this was one of the more top-heavy years we've ever had. I think between Houston, Duke, and Florida, in terms of some like advanced like weighted scoring metric, they were like all like top 20 all-time teams heading into the tournament. And so it's not really a surprise that not only did all 3 of those teams make it, but Auburn also made it. So I think just based on expectations and just the law of averages, if this is something that's persisting in like 2 or 3 years, maybe we get worried, but not right now.
That's what I'm worried about is the future of it.
I'm worried about my small wiener.
You do have a small one.
I might have to go to the doctor.
But
I'm not getting enough vitamin C.
You really need to get outside a little bit. You need the vitamin D, Joe. If we're going to be real about this, but
I set that up for
Yep.
you.
But yeah, the future with NIL,
Vitamin
there really
D.
needs to be
What
some
the-
guidelines. And
Do you get it, Mike? Vitamin D. Why that's funny. Yeah.
But
What?
yeah, I think there really needs to be some guidelines on this NIL because think about, like, Joe, you brought up college football. Think about the teams who spent this past year. It was Texas. It was Ohio State. I'm sure Notre Dame spent. The Michigans of the world are going to spend every year. Alabama's going to spend. It's all the big name teams, and by product of that, you're going to see those teams get to the semifinal, get to the championship. And this year in college basketball, it's no secret that Duke is investing in their basketball team because, the football team's not the ones bringing money to the college. It's the basketball history and all the great names they've had in the past, and just what the Cameron, what's it called? The Cameron Crazies, whatever. What they do for college basketball, and the number one recruit in Cooper Flagg, and it's just the rich gets richer every year, and we're even seeing it to a point of a Big East team losing R.J. Lewis. St. John's, they lost the Big East Player of the Year. R.J. Lewis, was probably an All-American this year, and I've heard rumors that he wants to. He's kind of done with school. He wants to go to the NBA, but he did put himself in the transfer portal in the odd case that the NBA doesn't work out and he has to go back to college. He's going to head to a SEC school because that's where the money is right now with college basketball. Nate Oates in Alabama is going to have all the money in the world. I'm sure Auburn's going to spend every year. I'm shocked that Houston has been so good the past few years because I didn't think they had this type of money to spend, but here we are. They have one of the best defenses. They looked dominant in this Elite Eight round, and honestly, going into the Final Four, I picked Florida to win it all. But if I had to pick a team that's going to compete with Duke and maybe contend for the championship, I would say Houston. To me, right now in this current moment, has the best chance. So I'll give it back to Mike. Do you agree with that? Do you agree? Because right now, Duke has looked the most dominant. I think we can all agree on that. But if there is a team that was to knock them down, do you think Houston could do it?
Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up. So I think that Houston will be their toughest matchup in the tournament. I actually felt that way going into it. I felt like they match up pretty well, which is unfortunate because we're going to get that matchup now, and I don't know what it's going to leave for the national championship. I still think that Duke is going to beat up on Houston. I really do. The game will I think it's going to be one of those ones where it's going to be like a 10-point win, which is still relatively close. But yeah, I think Houston has the best chance. Pound for pound matchup against Duke. I just don't see, I don't know who else could. Auburn was my pick to go to the national championship against them, I do believe, and I don't think that they can hang with them at all. I have Duke winning, and I'm handedly. So, yeah, no, I think Houston's the best matchup. It's unfortunate we're getting it now and not in the national championship, but I think you're correct.
You saw what they did without Cooper Flagg even having a great
menaces.
game. You could tell right away against Alabama the shot wasn't falling like it would.
Yeah. No, I don't feel
Arizona
like Flagg's played
was
all
all around
in
a great
general.
offensive
I don't know.
game
Maybe you guys
from
feel
him.
differently, but
like
I don't feel like
playmaking and shot making.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, it's true. I guess I just expected. I feel like, and I think we'll all agree he's the most dominant college basketball player this year. I think we can all agree on that. Yes, the Arizona game was good. But outside of that, I feel like there's been a lot left on the table. But how much of that is just better competition and teams focusing on them? I think Houston could tie into that. If they were going to get upset, it's going to be Houston. But would you? I guess the big picture would be. I'll ask Steve
no,
this, and I'll ask you too.
This
Do you
is
think
just
if
a year
Houston
later
did win,
from
would
when
you
I
consider it a
thought
massive
Houston
upset?
would make the championship game? Because I actually picked Houston last year to win it all, and I think they got pretty early. I think if my memory serves me right. But the thing for me is,
I think I did as well.
I feel like Florida fooled a lot of people because they had that dominant SEC tournament and they ended up winning it all. But they've been hiding behind some, in my opinion, weak matchups leading to the Final Four. And I'm saying that with a lot of people think in the West, which I think that was Florida's part of the bracket, a lot of people thought that was the hardest one early on. And then, St. John's gets knocked out in the second round. And I didn't really think Texas A&M was that great, in my opinion. When I watched them, I wasn't like, this is a Final Four team by any means. And then, they had a lot of close games, a lot of games they had to fight back. They really rallied behind Walter Clayton, who came from Iona, went to Florida last season and really became a star. And now he's turning into maybe a first-round talent out of Florida. But the thing that's nice about Duke is Cooper Flagg doesn't have to be on every night. A lot of those other players have been stepping up, and they're just so fast on offense. It's the IQ on offense. I shouldn't say that they're moving around relatively fast, but it's knowing that the guy's cutting to the hoop and doing a bounce pass between the defense, and he has a wide open layup. It's knowing where your guys are going to be placed on the court, and that's a compliment to John Shire, their coach, and what he's been able to do. Because the big argument, and I go back to St. John's again. Rick Pitino made a statement in the beginning of the season. He said you cannot win with freshmen anymore, especially with this transfer portal. He believes you have to build with the talent coming in out of the portal. But they have several freshmen. I mean, Flagg is a freshman. How do you say the other guy's name? Knepel? That's been pretty solid. He had 21 points in the Elite Eight game. That big dude Malouche, those are three guys that might get drafted, are all lottery picks, and they might get drafted in the top 10. But he's a rebounding machine. He'll get you 8 to 10 points a game. So it's just it's a freshman heavy Duke team that's leading them to the championship, but they're playing like veterans. And I'm sitting here today, and I hate to say it, but I'm counting Auburn out altogether. I just haven't been blown away by Auburn, and it's been ever since the last few games of the regular season, and then they had an early exit during the SEC tournament, and they haven't really impressed me too much during this NCAA run, because I think in order to win a NCAA March Madness tournament these days, you have to play defense and you have to be able to hit three-pointers, and that's what Duke can do. And I feel like that's what Houston can do. Joe, did you have a chance to watch the Houston game at all? Do you feel like they can contend at all?
I mean, it's a single game elimination. I think it's kind of, I don't know. It's not like it's like Alabama we saw against Duke. Like if they played like they played the previous round, Duke's probably going home with a 15-point loss. I mean, when you have Cooper Flagg sort of subdued like he was, Alabama seems like a team that could score 100 in the college game whenever. It's pretty much just how you're performing that night. I'm not going to be shocked if any of the final. Auburn, I'd be kind of surprised because they're clearly, like, compared to the number one seeds, they're like a 3 seed. Like, it's almost that much separation between the top 3 teams and them. I know what I'm talking about. And as for Cooper Flagg, he could have been scoreless this whole tournament or scored 40 points per game. I saw him take up the ball twice against Drew Holiday in Olympic scrimmages, and I saw 2.5 possessions against Anthony Davis. That's all I need to see. He probably could have sat the rest of the year, and he still would have got number one. So from a Cooper Flagg standpoint, not lighting the world on fire, but anybody but Auburn, I'd be pretty much in expectations. I mean, we have 3 historically great regular season teams coming in. So for Houston to win and maybe only being the 3rd best historically great regular season team, I don't know if that'd be an upset. I mean, I feel like Duke isn't getting, I feel like they're not as imposing as maybe like that undefeated Kentucky team from like about, 9 or 10 years ago that came into the tournament, or like maybe like Florida when they were defending the title. Like, they've been dominant, but I don't think they've like cleared away from the rest of like the top crust.
And also last year's UConn team, you can easily throw into that category. But I will stay on this.
Yeah,
I'll stay on this, Joe, because Cooper Flagg, to me, like when I'm watching him, people have in the back of their mind that when they go up for a layup, that he might come soaring out of nowhere and just block it. And I think some people are hesitant about driving against Duke, and we saw it in the Elite Eight game where he made a few nasty blocks. And I feel like he can do the small things to affect a game. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be his scoring every night. But he's just, everyone keeps talking about how calm he is in these situations throughout the tournament. And it just seems like he's advanced beyond his years. When is the last time we've seen this type of freshman in college basketball, in your opinion, Joe?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. How's that out there? He was pretty good in college.
I knew he was going to go with something so out there.
7.
Yeah, in what year? 1960.
Adam
right?
Morrison.
Like one every single year.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Adam
I'd
Morrison
say friggin' like Michael Beasley.
Well,
I
he
can
wasn't
remember
a
a
freshman.
freshman
He
with
was a
that much
sophomore
hype.
when he went on his run, wasn't
And he's still, like, NBA players revere
Beasley
that
was
guy
filthy.
for just,
Kansas
the bag he
State.
had offensively. It just never worked out. But talent-wise, there was nothing, like, he wasn't a bust. It was just, like, the mentality of playing, like, a professional team game that didn't seem to gel with him. But,
Yeah, but you know what's funny is he wasn't – I was about to say I think it was mental for Beasley. But I would say, actually, I think that's a really good – because Beasley dominated
and
the
he
college
averaged,
game.
like, 30 in the tournament.
That year at Kansas
Not
State.
that
He
matters,
was second
but
overall that year, right?
he did really well.
Yeah, I mean, he was –
I said
actually,
that.
to answer your question, I know you asked Duke, and I'm going to say Michael Beasley because what he did that year at Kansas State was – well – yeah, I guess he did. We're both going to agree Michael Beasley. That year was filthy.
Yeah.
I think his downfall was mental. I mean, because even his last years in the NBA, he'd still go out and get you 30, 35. I mean, actually, I remember the year he played with the Knicks. I think there was a game where he played like 14 minutes and had like 30 points. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that dude was.
You know the nickname he gave
in
himself,
NBA,
right?
He
says, "I'm your favorite player's favorite player."
There.
Because like real ones knew what Michael Beasley was capable of, and if the NBA at his height had like a one-on-one tournament, like he'd probably win it, or he'd have a good chance. Yeah, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean he was like 6'10".
I've always said that Michael Beasley had the girth
too.
factor.
He was 6'10". He was a big, like he wasn't
of at least 3 or 4. Yep.
I mean, he wasn't like Kevin Durant body type. Like the dude could post up and play outside. If you think about it, a man his size, the fact that he was a 3-level scorer was insane.
Was Derrick Rose?
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else since Beasley that was that dominant.
That's probably pretty close.
I'm going to read off a list. Anthony Davis from Kentucky in 2011-12. Kevin Durant on Texas 2006-7. Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse, 2002-3.
Yeah.
Zion Williamson, 2018-19. That might be the most recent one. And R.J. Barrett was on that team. Greg Oden is a good one. And same thing with Beasley. Didn't really pan out in the NBA, but
Anthony Davis is actually really
I was about to say, Beasley did this
he
all by
played
himself.
with the
Those
Olympic
guys
team,
all had help.
so he had that added experience of like looking like he belonged out there against like professional NBA.
I got
players.
a few other good ones. Derrick Rose on Memphis. That I remember him being a freshman and just coming out and just blowing everyone away, playing like a NBA number 1 pick. Joel Okafor on Duke. How about this one? John Wall in Kentucky. He was amazing. Right,
I was about to say
Kevin
that
Love.
Joel Okafor was a beast.
Giants quarterback Jameis Winston, greatest freshman quarterback in history.
This list has Chet Holmgren. I don't know if I'd throw him on the list as like dominant freshman, but
he was hyped, but not like this.
Just going back to that Kentucky team with John Wall, that team was absolutely probably still to this day one of the best college basketball teams ever assembled.
I mean,
and there was, in theory,
they had nice
no
cars.
NIL then.
Coincidence.
Just looking back at that roster.
Yeah. Was that the one? No, John Wall and DeMarcus
I did
Cousins
the air
were
quote.
before
All
that.
right, come on.
Right.
Karl Anthony Towns too. Like he
DeMarcus Cousins. That team was filthy. Well, that was.
I think that was the undefeated one.
That was,
but they lost
when you're talking
what
about
in the Final Four championship game. One of the two. They eventually.
Yeah, they lost to Wisconsin. Sam Decker just dicked them.
Decker. Who was the other guy? Frank Kaminsky or something?
Oh, that's right. The year Sam Decker went off.
Frank Kaminsky. Yeah, you can add Sam Decker to that list. He worked out LeBron. I was hyped up on
That
him.
was
and
later,
then he
yeah.
turned into like a G League type player. NBA.
Yeah. Tyler Hero took his place.
That's a good name drop. Where did Tyler Hero go, by the way? Kentucky, yes.
Yeah.
You know who I forget went to Kentucky? Devin Booker.
Kentucky.
I always forget.
Yes. Wasn't
Booker's
he there
been
with
in the league
Hero?
a while.
No,
Calipari.
it was before Hero.
Recruit.
Hero was. I don't know I was a big Kentucky supporter. Like when they had the dream team, where it's Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, who else was on that? Willie Cauley-Stein. They had was Bledsoe on that roster? I don't remember. No, he was not. But yeah, Calipari was an outstanding recruiter. I don't understand how they convinced all these guys to play with no money because he did it fair.
Charisma and a new convertible.
No air quotes.
Calipari is an honest Italian man.
Specific. There you go. Exactly. And you know what? Name something better than
being Marcus Camby in 1996
convertible round in Kentucky.
That's what's better.
Like a beautiful state of Kentucky.
I think that was like the first superstar he coached to the NBA.
Marcus Camby. Yeah.
That's when he was with Maine or Massachusetts.
Marcus Camby.
You know what Calipari loses credit on, though? Apparently he has a stroller for his dog.
That was Massachusetts.
And I don't know.
What's wrong with that, dude?
Yeah, but are you a supporter?
I don't have
like.
One
are
yet.
you
But
in the talks of it? You're like, yeah.
Considered getting a stroller for this one.
Mike's the one who brought it up. He's like, we should really get a stroller.
No, of course not. I'm not. Nope, not a supporter. No, my wife, to be fair, I fought it for so long until we had a baby. And then I'm going to be honest with you, the greatest thing about having a baby is the stroller. I threw so much shit in that stroller. Oh, God, it was great. Now that we're out of the stage of strollers, I'm like, we can get one for the dog. Just so I can carry stuff around, man. Oh, God, it's great. You ever been to the mall
just get a backpack.
and had a cart to push all your stuff around during the holiday season? No, you haven't. I have. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm thinking every day. Like
you're
saying, I throw
your holiday shop, you're getting gifts for everybody. What are you stuffing in a backpack? I mean, I have a backpack for everyday use, but you're out on the weekends, you're going shopping, and it's just convenient to have everything.
Putting your baby in there,
just throw it all in there.
You're
carry a drink. I got cup holders on that thing too.
Mike flexing his highfalutin lifestyle.
Now she pushes the stroller. I don't have to worry about it. So
get one of those dogs that fit in a purse.
Yeah,
it's like a fashion accessory. Pretty close.
You know how they have those air carriers for the babies? You're gonna see Mike walking around the neighborhood with an air carrier.
No, so all seriousness, this is our second one of these dachshunds. My wife has a bag that she carries.
Mike,
you're not worried its little legs
will
atrophy?
It's just like a tote bag that their head sticks out the side.
You're living the American dream over there.
She'll be fine. Seriously, you know what? I couldn't imagine. I wouldn't have lasted as a fucking caveman. I need my little dogs. I'm sure that most people see me walking the street like, that guy's got a big dog. Nope, I got a little 6-pound puppy, and that's all I need. I don't care for big dogs. These little ones are perfect because I can pick them up and tell them to shut up. What good is it having a dog that you can't just one-hand it? She's being bad? No, get over here. Yep.
Yeah, so John Calipari.
I love my little
That's the John Calipari of dogs.
See, can you
I forget what it was.
John Calipari. I can see that right now that man's got a little Pomeranian. Promise you.
That licks your face.
He's got a little Pomeranian named Killer. Guaranteed.
Cat.
Or he names it after his there's just every time he gets a dog, he names it after one of his basketball players.
I could see Rick Pitino having one too.
Come here, Derek.
Another fine Italian man.
It's stereotyping, but yes, 100% correct.
Italian.
Steve, you're 5% Italian.
Yeah, but I cherish that 5%. Yes.
I appreciate the honesty.
If I got up to 10%,
that 5% is everything to him.
I'm like full.
You can get citizenship. You could live in the old country.
No, Macri gets to 10% if he does the 23andMe, and he's going to start wearing like Italian shirts, showing off some chest.
He's going to open up a car dealership.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that's my 10% coming out right there.
The Italian horn. You're going to get an Italian horn. You know, it'd be funny, Dugan. We should do a 23andMe
like
and you. 23andMe on you and Macri.
9% Italian and Joe.
Yeah, I have a tiny bit. I'm like a classic European mutt. It's Italian, Czech, and a big mixture of this shit. No, sorry, Irish.
He always
Irish,
took on the Czech side. I remember growing up.
But we could find out.
Because everybody else is Irish. Czech is a little more.
Could you imagine if Dugan turns out?
So clearly, that's not the dominant gene in you.
Yeah, I can't even skate.
I'll be honest with you.
No, you wouldn't. There's little kids going circles around me trying to knock me over.
Oh, yeah. One of those like things that like Brady had when he was ice skating, the little stroller, the walker for ice skating. Why don't we kick you?
I've tried a few times in my life, and it's always demoralizing. I don't like doing it. Yeah. The fact that I can't.
This is where John Calipari got us
on your margaritas. You're right in life.
I'm almost done.
You're doing that right in life.
That's after.
Joke's on you. It's actually just a cup of melatonin.
I do take that every night.
You out. It makes you feel heavy and stuff.
I know. I've been taking that every night since 2008. That's not an exaggeration.
When he wasn't working, he would take it at like 10 a.m.
Yeah,
that's an addiction.
Pretty much.
Exactly. All right. I forgot to say this in the beginning.
I'm sleep through my sorrow.
I forgot what the sunlight looked like. There'd be days where I'd be awake from dark to dark. That really fucks you up. Because it's not all at once though. Like you keep pushing it back like 1 hour and 1 hour. You're not working. You don't give a shit. And especially if like you don't have like an interview for like 2 weeks, or like, all right, well, I can just wake up whenever. The next thing you know, you're like, well, I guess it's a 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift.
You ever see Benchwarmers? The brother who can't see the sunlight. Yeah, that was Joe.
Oh yeah, the one that he sleeps in the Nick Swartzen.
I was thinking of the others.
Sits in the closet with Kidman. Bottles.
When Joe would go out and get his
yeah, that's a great fucking movie.
When Joe would go out,
have you seen it? Oh, clips. Okay.
I've seen clips of it. By the way, I want to let you know I did watch Nosferatu yesterday because we spoke.
It's a vision.
Dugan said it was good, so I watched it. It's something. It definitely is something.
You name me an actress who can do
I don't know
better
how it
than
did
Johnny
so good
Depp's daughter.
Review-wise, but it's something.
That's impossible.
I was about to say
I wasn't sure
the theme in the movie.
I can't tell.
Maybe a little
what's
bit
happening?
I'm not sure what was happening. It literally was like a very dark version of Twilight with porn.
I haven't seen any of those movies.
That's literally what it was.
That's
100% what I watched.
They're not Czech. They're
Transylvanians.
No.
Can you do the Nosferatu voice, Dugan?
Rocky Bell.
I couldn't understand anything he was saying.
I literally was.
It didn't look. It was. Like, it doesn't look like a vampire. It just looked like some old guy with mutton chops. It was very, very weird. First time I've seen facial hair in a vampire.
It really did.
It's very strange.
Macri's gonna go. It's on Peacock.
Yeah.
Dude, the little comb over it, the little hair. He has no hair here, no hair, but he's got like a little flap that hangs
voice.
over.
It's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, come on, man.
Oh my god! That's just
Dude,
an Italian tan
recast the movie with Sylvester Stallone.
He's at the right age for it.
Yeah, he should dress like he does in
Are you talking
whatever
about
that
Rambo?
show is he's on now. I can't remember. And just do vampire voices, Sylvester Stallone. Tulsa King. There we go. Dress like he does in Tulsa King.
That's like
suit and
Foxcatcher. I don't
everything,
even know what you're
and
talking
just do
about.
Nosferatu voice.
Tulsa King.
Yeah, the documentary, which the last one I was on, I missed the last podcast we did, but the last one I was on,
Yeah,
we
but
said
what a
we were
run by
gonna watch it,
Calipari.
and neither of these two
All right.
watched it.
Let's move
Great
on.
stuff. I think we should jump to the first
Yeah,
interview.
I don't know if we'll do the second one just because it's pretty irrelevant now. Michigan got knocked out. Maybe I'll post it as a one-off or something. But the one interview I do want to do today is Skylar Thompson. He just signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's probably, as of now, he's probably going to compete for a job there unless they get Aaron Rodgers, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, Skylar Thompson was nice enough to come on. He talked about his great foundation, which was named after his grandfather and his mom. He had some real motivational stories during this, and then he talked about his playing career. It was a great interview, honestly. So we'll kick it over to that, and then we'll finish off this podcast. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I have Skylar Thompson with me, currently with the Steelers. Just did several seasons with the Dolphins, went to Kansas State. So this is a fun one. But to start things off, I want to start it off a little different because I'm sure you talk about your career quite a bit, but you also have a really cool foundation. It's called the Sky's the Limit Foundation. And you could talk about it if you want to. I don't know how open you are, but just reading the about me behind the foundation, it looks like you had some close to home situations early on in your life. Your grandfather, John Walter Thompson, was diagnosed with late stage cancer, pancreatic. Tough word to say. And then your mother, stage 4 breast cancer. So a lot of tough situations, especially so early on in life. Can you talk about, like, obviously it had an impact on your life, but how it led up to building this foundation and how you're carrying on their memory, the two of them, two family members that seem like they were very or were very close to you.
Yes, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, as you just stated, I lost my grandfather, my mom, both to cancer in an 8-month stretch. When I was 5 years old, so it was very tough. And like you said, I faced some adversity earlier in my career, in my life, and in my career, and honestly, facing that adversity so early on really helped me propel me through my football career when adversity struck. So that was like my whole life, really. Trying to there was a lot of growing pains, a lot of situations that I had to maneuver through and kind of adapt to, and things were a little more challenging for me, just because I was very close with my mother and my grandfather, and that was a really big loss for me. So I did have some challenges growing up and some stuff that I had to overcome, but I truly think that and believe that I was put through those situations for a reason, and God had a plan. And that was my whole focus on this foundation, was how can I make a great purpose, out of a tragedy that happened to me, and one thing I've always been passionate about is sharing my story and being open to tell and share with others, because there's so many people that have faced some type of adversity, whether if it's losing a loved one through cancer, or a disease, or whatever the case may be. Everybody faces adversity in their own life in some way, shape, or form. And for me, I've just always wanted to share my story, and maybe my stories, and things that I've done to overcome things, or how I've handled certain situations. Maybe that can have an impact on just one person, to help them in their situation. And so that's the whole driving the factor behind this. My Sky's the Limit Foundation. It's solely a nonprofit that we just support, mainly kids in the community of all over the place, whose lives have been impacted by cancer. So it's been a great experience for me. We just started it this last year, so we're still kind of trying to get things going, and and whatnot, and the move to Pittsburgh. It's we've had a lot going on here, but I've been able to connect with a few kids that has really impacted my life, and being able to have an impact on theirs. And I think that's what I love the most about this foundation is it allows me to have a one-on-one connection and relationship with these people, and they reach out to us and share their story, and I'm able to kind of tap in there and help them out as they need. So it's a great foundation. Super, super excited about it. My team at Sports Trust has done a great job of helping me out. So I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah, that's great. And the connections, I feel like that makes it worthwhile right there and
Yeah.
rewarding. I wanted to circle back to your mom though, just because there's a really, I want to say cool note, but just I don't know. For me, it makes me want like feel motivated after reading
Hmm.
it. It says the doctors said that chemotherapy was practically pointless, though it was still an option for her. The doctors advised her that she would be better off living out the rest of her life peacefully, but giving up wasn't an option for your mom.
Hmm.
Is that something you carry with yourself throughout not only your football career but your everyday living? And are
Hmm.
there any moments that like you felt like you're like, oh, I just had enough. I'm ready to give this
Hmm.
up, and you thought back to your mom doing this, and it really kept you going.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's been the driving factor of my entire life, to be honest with you. Like I have overcome so much adversity through that, but also just stuff on the field, and that's kind of my mentality towards everything. My mom had someone giving her, technically the easy way out, quote unquote. But she chose to keep fighting, and to not give up. And that's who my mom was, and that's a challenging thing for me was I was so young when all this happened that I don't have a ton of memories of her, and a lot of my memories are stories from other people, and just that's how I know her, unfortunately, in some ways. But that's one thing that everyone has shared with me is she was a type that she was going to give her all no matter what, and she was never going to give up. And that's kind of been the story of my whole career. And I had a defining moment actually. It was my fifth year at K-State, COVID year. I tore my pec, third game of the season versus Texas Tech, and we had just beat Oklahoma, upset them. I was playing my best football, to be honest, and just like that, I was out for the season in a sling on my throwing shoulder for 3 months. Had to learn how to throw a football again. Couldn't do a pro day, so I had to come back for my sixth year. But after that injury, before I decided to come back, I vividly remember this. I was sitting out in my parking lot with my dad and my family after I had just found out that I had torn this and had to get surgery and my season was done. And I was really in a bad spot. Was very frustrated and just the timing of everything, and didn't really know what things were going to look like. Am I going to throw the ball the same way? Am I going to have I'm obviously going to have some setbacks, but how am I going to be able to progress through this and still be myself, And, that's, I thought back to her and just what would she do in this moment? And, I just knew that she would put her head down and attack the rehab and control the things that she could control, and that was my whole mindset. And I came back from that injury better than I was before, so that mentality has just been my common denominator throughout my whole life. And it's really helped me propel me to be successful.
Yeah, no, that's a great memory there, and you know,
I'm sorry about the dogs barking, if you
uh,
can hear them.
it happens all the time to me.
Okay.
I was on a phone call last night, and my dog was just going off. What type of dogs do you have, by the way?
They're called blue heelers.
Blue heelers.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to
So
look that
they're
up.
like an Australian cattle dog type mix. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah, they're
That's
a lot
really
of
cool.
fun.
You can't beat dogs. The loyalty behind dogs, it's unreal. Mine follows me around the house all day. The
Oh
whole
yeah, no,
time.
they're 7 months old, so they're still young a little bit. So they're
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun.
it's like having a kid with the seven
Yeah,
months old.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
one last question on your foundation, though.
Hmm.
I'm going through a few of like what's happened in the past, and want to talk about the future too.
Hmm.
It looks like you spent a day at your former elementary school, and also it looks like at the beginning of it, maybe in 2022, you did a fundraising event. It was a night with Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
What were those experiences like for you, and like what do you have planned? Like, have you gone to the drawing board and thought about anything for like the future?
Yes, yeah. So I went and visited my elementary school after my rookie year, and kind of just shared my story with them, and just went and spent the day with the kids. I thought when I moved to Kansas City whenever I was in second grade. And I went to Buckner Elementary, and like I was kind of sharing with you, during like that time period of my life was very challenging. Like I had just lost my mother, we had moved. I was having a hard time a little bit, but I just will always remember how they treated me there. My teacher, Miss Verostic, at the time was a third grade teacher. I had Miss Brown in fourth grade. Like I vividly remember those teachers like it was yesterday, just from the impact that they had in my life, and kind of knew what I was going through, and they were there for me and supported me and helped me on the school side of things to get me through a very tough time in my life. Would come to my football games, like made me feel so supported. So I thought that was my first thing I wanted to give back to. Once when I accomplished the goal of making it to the NFL and making that dream come true, I thought that's where I wanted to go, give my love back to. And so I went and spent the day there. It was really cool. And then we did another fundraising event at a place called Goolsby's in Manhattan, Kansas, where it was a night with Skylar Thompson, where we had fans, people from all over the place, had to purchase a ticket, come into this place called Goolsby's, who was my college roommate, teammate at K-State. He opened up this, I would say, sports bar type lounge hangout spot that has golf simulators,
Oh,
a
that's
little
cool.
bowling alley, a bunch of little arcade games, Jenga, all that.
Yeah,
It's a really fun hangout spot. So great place to socialize and get to know people. So and it's a partnership a little bit with my buddy too, because supporting his business. So it's a great deal all around. And we've done that. We did that the past 2 years. This year we're thinking about doing something different, and we're still trying to brainstorm a little bit. Like I said, this whole move to Pittsburgh has kind of changed a little bit. We've had a little bit more on our plate, but no, it's a great deal. Gives me a chance to get to know people and connect with them and share stories, and I think that's important for me. I've always wanted to stay connected to K-State. It's very university is a very special, means a lot to me, and is very special. So I always want to give back and do everything I can to stay connected with the fans and the people there.
absolutely. If it's okay, I want to talk about a little bit because you mentioned prior, you said the torn pec cap in your fifth year, right, at Kansas
Yeah,
State.
yeah.
Um, that was probably an important year, and I can see why
hmm
like you were probably a little, I don't know, anxious about it, just because
hmm
you thought you probably thought you would come back, show off or
hmm
show up for the draft and have your best year, but
hmm
what was because just because it is that time of year where like we're under a month away from the NFL draft,
hmm
what was this process like for you specifically? Because it sounds like yours was probably a little different where
hmm
you were nursing an injury. Like what did you have to do to showcase your talents in front of scouts and organizations,
hmm
knowing that you had this injury during your fifth year?
Yeah, yeah. So I tore my pec there, did all my rehab, came back for my sixth year, COVID year. Um, another like was playing really, really good football. Second game of the year, I went to go was running and made a cut and my knee buckled
Oh,
and fell to the ground and immediately thought like worst case scenario. Like just flashes through my head of, man, I just spent 8 months rehabbing and fighting, getting back, and this is what's going to happen. But I ended up tearing my PCL only.
oh man.
So only missed a couple weeks and braced it up and played the rest of the year with that. So I was kind of limited a little bit. I was the guy that kind of used my legs a little bit, so I had to adjust a little bit there. But I also thought that in a way helped me because I felt like an area that I needed to improve was my pocket passing and standing in the pocket and delivering some throws rather than relying on my legs as much as I did early on in my career at K-State. So it kind of forced me to show some things that I hadn't done before or hadn't done consistently. And I thought that really helped me. But then after the season, we ended the season, we beat LSU in a bowl game. I played my my best game of my career, and to finish up. So I had some momentum going into the pre-draft process. And really for me, it was just about getting healthy. Like I was kind of still nursing some side effects from my shoulder or my pec. Had a high ankle sprain in senior night versus Baylor. Like I was pretty banged up after the season. So we really spent the majority of the start just trying to get healthy. But I just knew for me everything was about capitalizing on opportunities, and I knew I was going to be a fringe guy. I knew I wasn't, going to be a high draft pick. I was kind of projected 5 through 7 to undrafted, and that was the reality for me. And obviously that's not that wasn't like ideal to hear or what you want, but I think for me being able to accept that helped me be my best. I was able to accept the reality of where I was probably going to fall, but I was going to control the things that I could, and I got to play in the East-West Shrine game, like end of January, beginning of February. And I had a lot of momentum, going into that game from that bowl game. So I had a lot of confidence, and I just kept riding with it, and I played well there, and just kept trying to be myself, through the whole pre-draft process. I wasn't going to try to be anything other than just myself, and show people who I am, and that I can play this position at this level, and that they can count on me, and so I was just trying to stay true to myself through that whole process, and it just really helped me. And whenever I got my opportunity with the Dolphins, that I could just be my best, and it really worked out for me. And we're able to make the team my rookie year and do some good things there. So it all worked out really well.
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty solid ride, I would say, in the NFL. I remember I was looking through notes before this, and specifically what was brought up was your first 2 weeks of preseason, your first season, or your rookie season, I should say. And I thought back, and I was like, I do remember that, because I remember it was all over like Sports Center and like ESPN and all the major outlets. I remember everyone was talking about how you were lighting it up practically. But what went into those first 2 weeks, the success that you saw right away, and then that was, I believe, was Mike McDaniel's first season as the head coach of the Dolphins.
Yeah.
What was it like sitting down with him and him saying, "Yeah, you're making the team, you're on the depth chart"?
Yeah, no, that was a very special moment. Like I said, going into it, I knew that Tua was there. They had just signed Teddy Bridgewater as well, so I knew that I was going to be fighting for a spot. And like I said, kind of throughout my whole process, my mindset was just to be myself, and control the things that I could control, and just when I get opportunities, make the most of them, and not think twice about it. And that rookie year, when I got those opportunities in the preseason, I got to start the first game of the year versus Tampa and play a full game. So I got a lot of reps there that preseason as a rookie, and I thought that was very beneficial and helpful for me in my development. And just understanding how a play call works, how getting out of the huddle, and the operational things, like all that stuff was a learning curve for me. But did some great things there in that preseason that helped me with my career, and like that's really what it's about, is especially in my position as a backup and a guy that's you're a journeyman trying to figure it out and trying to make it each and every year. So you just got to capitalize on opportunities and make the most of what you get. And no matter what, good or bad, you have to stay even keeled and stay positive and stay confident, because you just never know when the opportunity is going to come.
Yeah. Is it okay if I ask a few quick questions?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So your first game was against the Jets, I believe. I think Teddy Bridgewater went down with a concussion, unfortunately. But it opened up an opportunity for you. I guess my question is, what's it like going in the middle of a game where you're not, when you start, I'm sure you can get in the zone. You do everything during warm-ups that as if you're going to start. I'm sure you do the same thing when you're not starting as well. But I guess what's the mindset going in when you get your name called after an injury, and how do you win over the huddle? Like because the quarterback position's looked at as like one of the major leadership positions, probably the biggest leadership position on the offense.
Mhm.
Like, how do you gain trust of that huddle like right away and like get those guys on the same page?
Yeah, no, I mean it's one of those situations that if you haven't been in, it's really hard to understand and explain to people. Because you're going into every game as if you're going to be the starter, but you have no idea when or if that time's going to come. And unfortunately, in some situations, as I experienced, is the guy in front of you gets hurt, for that opportunity to come. Um, and so. I would just say my mindset and how, you know, immediately I think the work has to be done on the front end for all those things to happen whenever you get that opportunity in the game, as far as commanding the huddle and getting those guys to believe in you. I think a lot of that contributes to the work that you put in throughout the week, your preparation, your leadership, all those things that are done throughout the practice week, carry over to the game, because you want to step in there and you don't want anybody to blink an eye. You want people to know that it's going to pick up right where it left off, and being able to operate and do some good things, and move the ball. So for me, it's just stepping in there and being myself. Creating relationships with guys on the front end, and getting to know them, knowing their passions, why they're there, what drives them, what's their burn, and then letting them know what's mine. Because I feel like once when you have a personal connection with the guys next to you and you know why they're out there, why they're fighting, and vice versa, you play a little harder for those people, and just makes you a little closer and work together better. So that's kind of always my mindset, my kind of approach to it from a leadership perspective. And because I know that's the most important part in the field, is being able to command the huddle and be a leader and have people respect you and follow you. So that's something I take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And later, I believe it was later in the season, you get called upon for the game clinching, or the game against the Jets again, which was the
Mhm.
clinching game for the playoffs. And then also you get to start in the wild card round against the Bills, two touchdown underdogs, but still you made it close, 34-31 in that game. I mean, Josh Allen on the other side, with the injuries that the Dolphins had that year. And I mean, just to keep it a close contest was a huge thing.
Mhm.
Where would you rank like those moments right there, like clinching the
Mhm.
playoffs and being able to start a playoff game in your football career?
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, I Mike Glennon was on our roster. He was backing me up at the time. We were pretty banged up, and they had brought him in. And whenever I got this was before the playoff game versus the Bills, and we're kind of sitting there watching film, and he was like, "Skylar, like." He's like, how cool this is? Like, I've been doing this for a long time and like haven't got the chance to do this. And like, you're about to go, play in a, in a playoff game, big time game, and big time opportunity. Like, you should be, take a second and be proud of it, And I thought like that was really cool for me to hear from a guy like that in that time, because, to be honest, at the at the time, like I was just solely focused on just doing my job, and just everything. I was so zoned in on and focused on just the task at hand, And I thought him kind of giving me that perspective allowed me to kind of sit back and take a deep breath,
Yeah,
and just realize that I'd worked for this moment and I'm prepared for it, and I'm called to be here. There's a reason why this is happening and why I'm in this position, and I'm prepared and ready for it, and I'm capable of doing this. And I thought that just gave me a lot of confidence going into that. In the regular season game versus the Jets where we had to clinch, it's like I knew what the task was at hand. I knew we had to win to have an opportunity to go to the playoffs. So, that's all that mattered to me was we're going to find a way to win. I don't really care how it looks or, what takes place. We're going to find a way to win at the end of the day. And, that was my same mindset going into the Bills game. It was a great opportunity, great atmosphere. It was a game I'll never forget. Probably one of my favorite ones, even though we didn't come out on the winning side. We had opportunities to win it, and that's something to be proud of. But there's definitely a lot of learning experiences and stuff that I took away from that game that shoot, a lot of people don't get to experience. So it's just something that I just try to add to my resume, try to add to my tools in my toolbox to make me better in the future.
absolutely. And now fast forward to this off season. I think it was in January you signed with the Steelers.
Hmm.
It was such a different situation then. The whole quarterback room's different now. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin Fields goes to the Jets. Obviously Russell Wilson just signed with the Giants. Um, yeah, what's your thoughts on being with the Steelers? Are you? I think did Mason Rudolph go back to the
Uh-huh.
Steelers?
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it's Mason and I right now.
yeah, what's that like?
Hmm.
Signing with two other quarterbacks, and now a few months
Hmm.
later, and it's just you and Mason Rudolph now.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite honestly, I haven't put a lot of thought into who else is going to be there. I'm very very excited for this opportunity with Pittsburgh. I think it's a great fit for me personally and as a player. I think the organization and just everything kind of fits my values and who I am. So I'm super excited to have the opportunity here and go to work. But as far as the other quarterbacks and stuff, all that stuff's out of my control.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be great for the room. I'm gonna be a great teammate. I'm gonna do everything for the better sake of the team. All the time. So I just having that mindset, focusing on myself and doing my job and my role, is the only way that I know. And on top of that, just being a great teammate, you can do both. It's not like that at all. So just wanting to win. So I'm super excited for this opportunity though with the Steelers.
yeah. No, that's exciting. It's such a storied franchise. I'm sure it hits you in the face right when you walk into the building.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool opportunity for you. But yeah, that was really cool stuff. That was Skylar Thompson. I would say, one of my favorite parts, among so many great parts of this interview, but just the beginning talking about your Sky's the Limit Foundation.
Hmm.
That was, a lot of neat information on it and a lot of adversity that you had to fight through. But
Hmm.
definitely, I recommend everyone to check it out. It sounds like there's going to be events in the future, so if people are in the area, then they should definitely, join along.
Hmm.
But Skylar, thank you so much for joining us today. Like I said, this was amazing. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That was Skylar Thompson. Really awesome interview. I enjoyed it. Such a nice guy. Really rooting for him. I mean, didn't know much about him going into.
Why'd you shake your head? You're not rooting for him?
Yes, we talked about that a
Because
little bit.
his two greatest highlights.
That was probably a
were
year
sitting
where
on
he
the one
wanted him to
thing that I
lose.
enjoy in life, which is the
He had
Jets.
that one great run where he brought him to the playoffs, right? It was 2022.
That was the year that they needed to beat the Jets to get into the playoffs, and the Jets. I think he played well, all things considered. I think he beat the Jets like 13-7 or 10-7.
Fun fact:
Against
his
Zach
first
Wilson.
ever start was
Zach
against
Wilson
the
led
Jets.
Jets. Probably some of my finer years as a Jets fan.
Oh,
It was. He came in. Well, it wasn't a starter. He came in relief of Tua. Yeah. Listen, wish him the best. I really do hope that he has a great
I'm
career.
gonna pass it along to him.
But
I'll
I'll never
know.
forgive him for the pain that he's caused me in years.
And
that were painful
I've been
as
a
it is.
Justin Fields believer for my
I think
entire
you should,
life.
Skylar.
So-
Love you, but I don't love you. I envision that Skylar Thompson to the Miami Dolphins
Well,
is what Mike White was to the New York Jets.
He was on the
Just
same team as Mike
inspiration.
Glennon.
We all
Who
want him
ended
to
up
be
on
the
the
guy,
Giants eventually. He has the bag
and he
of
just shits
quarterback
on somebody's
Daniel
dreams.
Jones. But that was also they had Tua and Teddy Bridgewater in a QB room with them.
Mike Glennon. The Giants clearly have a type of quarterback that
Daniel
like,
Jones
just
was many
slow,
things, but he was
praying
slow.
mantis style players.
Oh.
No, I'm not talking about foot speed. Just in life, like they're very like just like lumbering, slow.
Mike,
go through life.
I have a good question.
Don't have any emotion.
Man, are they
That
holding
is the Giants
tryouts?
quarterback right there.
What?
You actually
Damn.
fit the size.
I was about to say, Dugan, if you could throw a football
I'm
accurately,
6'5" in cleats,
put up some
230. I
yardage,
just need to
I
be able
think
to
that
throw
you'd
more
have
than
a shot.
30 yards. Let's get me out there. That's clearly with Malik Neighbors. That's
accurately.
One weekend,
I don't know.
what we have to do
Dugan
is
gets those high knee strides going.
Those
I don't
high
know.
knees
I
have
don't think
one hit
anybody
left
can
in
stop
them.
But,
I'll be like that guy. There was a guy
he's
for the
gonna take off all the
49ers in the
cramps,
Super
done.
Bowl. He went to like run on the field and he fucking popped his Achilles. Was that Greenlaw?
Oh God!
Yeah, I think
that
so.
was what's his face, the linebacker, not Dre Law.
Actually, no.
Was
That's
it
an athletic
was it
injury.
Greenlaw?
You have to be athletic to pop your Achilles like that.
God, that's
no
horrible.
disrespect.
I hope he
to
doesn't
him.
listen to this.
I'd get up
It's
too
turf.
fast.
That's why a
You
lot
can
of
be
players
like
want to go back to
trotting out
grass.
onto the field, just
It's
holding a water
One
bottle.
sudden stop and you're ripping your knee. I have an idea, guys.
Thank
I have
you.
a great idea.
Yeah, Dugan can play on any of
Joe
it. It doesn't make a
Dugan
difference.
New York Giants tryout video. We should
Okay.
create it.
I want to hear it.
Why am I always the victim?
Ooh.
Can we
Who's
start
his
there?
pass catchers in this video? It should be us. How is this the victim?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? You ever seen The Rookie? The movie The Rookie with Dennis Quaid? That could be you.
I think that might be our weekend project. The Joe.
He's taking.
I can give him. I can give
swing
one
at
good hit on special teams before my shoulder separates.
What?
Oh, okay.
We should get like
All
those.
right. I haven't thrown a
You're
football
the
in 10
quarterback in
years,
this
so
situation.
that
No
we
way
gotta
that
get
is.
past that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know what
And
else?
that's why we're not going to throw one.
oh,
Can
no.
we get those pads we can slam into them and
There's
make
no
them run
warm ups.
through a
You just let
line?
it rip. I don't know. I think that we just get them, just literally just drop back, throw, and whatever. Don't even have a receiver out there. Just let them throw. Dude, we will
Whoa,
edit
that could
it
be
where
like,
you throw the pass downfield
Dr.
and
Disrespect. That guy, you ever see that guy at the 49ers tryouts? He threw a 70-yard bomb.
This
Of
is.
course
oh
I
my
have.
god.
Yeah, but
I
before
have.
that,
He threw it 70 yards.
No,
70
this is what
yards.
we're gonna do. We're gonna have you make specific throws. You're gonna have to bench 135 as many times as you can. You're gonna run a 40-yard dash, and then at the end of the video,
can I do dumbbell presses, not barbell?
Yeah.
I'm much better at dumbbell.
You could. I'll.
Okay, all right.
At the end of the video, Mike and I are gonna interview you as if we're a front office.
Okay.
Oh my God! Yes. And what is we could do?
But you pick
what's
the questions.
The Wonderlick. We'll give you the Wonderlick.
I love this.
In your own
this.
rubric.
We have
Okay.
to do it.
We'll make our own Wonderlick.
Mike,
I think this is good
We-
stuff.
All right.
I think this
And
is
and
awesome.
for old
I think
time's
we are
sake,
absolutely onto something.
we have to go that one field by Thousand Oaks. Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck.
Oh no, I don't think Thousand Oaks is around anymore.
I don't go right into the neighborhood.
You live
surveying,
over there, is it?
surveying living areas. I don't know. You're right.
You should.
for old time's
Like
sake.
on the way home from the ferry, like, hey, I'm going to take a quick left here. Just for old time's sake.
I'm just
get
just
out,
surveying
walk around the
spots
field,
to
look,
throw
kids like, hey,
footballs,
man, what
kids.
are you doing?
Ignore me.
You know what Joe does
Yeah.
sometimes? He sits outside Matt's mom's old
Reliving
house and
greatness.
cries. Please.
My aunt almost bought that house.
Who?
I go by there to play poker sometimes.
He would have just said, hey, can I
But-
stay here?
I very, very rarely do I
Just
cry.
like-
My cousin lives by there.
I go by there to play poker sometimes, just a random poker
So
game.
margaritas and poker, that's Joe's life.
That's a good life, man. That's a solid fucking life. If I could retire and just do that,
I don't
that's
see any
great.
issues with it, per se. I mean,
It does sound like
yeah.
someone moving down to Florida, like a retired person.
just margarita and
Just
poker
do
all
that.
day?
I mean,
Yeah. He doesn't do well in the
Maybe.
sun, though.
I think Dugan's future is Florida.
no.
Yeah. He's orange.
You are kind of
Yes.
This is what happens when I get too much.
All right, so maybe not. Maybe
here.
Kentucky.
In your convertible stomach.
What is he showing us?
That's a belly button.
Yeah, why are you showing us a hole in your stomach?
No, that was
I don't know what he was showing. All I saw was him squeezing his stomach. I don't know what he was proving to us.
No, I'll show you again if you want.
No, I think that's got to stay. That's got to let us run.
Yeah.
All right. So
if you want to see my stage 0 melanoma spot where they soldered my skin back together, that'll be extra.
Joe's last date, he did the same exact thing. You want to see something cool? He stood up and did that.
Yeah. I'm a fighter.
This is a hole.
God.
It wasn't even cancerous, but I'm a fighter.
We're not helping Dugan's dating chances here. This is not. We're supposed to build him up.
Once I live on my own, I'll be fine.
He makes a lot of money.
You're next.
Once I live. What do you mean? Think about how convenient it would be right now to have somebody meet your parents.
Michael, I think we have different goals.
Hey, let's just go upstairs.
I'm trying to be starting quarterback of the Giants. I'm not looking to settle down.
You can show her the bowl. And that's not code word for anything. It's just the sign.
That's a third or fourth date at minimum. They can't meet the ball right away.
I got a question that when you buy or rent your apartment in the future of where you're going, is the bull going with you or is it staying? Is that like the first thing you're going to grab? Make sure that that's like your item.
Because this one's vintage and it was in my grandpa's basement. Why would I get?
Like, because it'd be a really great story if you had a whole wall dedicated to the bull.
You know, SVP mentioned it on part of my take this week.
Yeah,
Schlitz Malt Liquor. So the name is still alive. I just want to let you know. He said his grandpa used to drink it.
I think we should try and buy the rights.
Not in
I thought he
fashion
could come
anymore,
up.
But
what if?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was about to say that's an interesting talking point. Maybe you guys have the same grandpa.
We haven't talked about anything sports related in about 40 minutes.
You don't know.
I was going to ask you, Mike. Joe mentioned Justin Fields
but I think that we're on to something.
And the Jets just named him the starter without any really competition. Has he even put on a Jets uniform yet, other than the press pictures that he took? Yeah, looks at himself in the mirror.
I imagine he probably stands in his room and just tries it on
Yeah, I mean, the draft hasn't hit yet.
So I'm going to be honest. I'm sure you're going to ask me my opinion. Is that what you're getting to? You know what? I'm just going to say I don't care. I literally, there's, the saying, it can't get any worse. I've literally seen the worst. It can't get any worse. It can't get better. I think that, sure, Justin Fields, it could click for him and he could become a NFL level passer, but it just hasn't to this point. He's not. The one thing that I'll say that he has that we haven't had as Jets fans, he's mobile. I couldn't tell you the last time the Jets had a legitimate mobile quarterback. I mean, I guess you could say Zach Wilson, but
continue.
He was, so we'll see what happens. I'm not crazy about it, but what else is there?
I think
You're not
you know
draft
who the future is.
7.
We mention him every podcast.
But I would.
All right,
Joe Martin.
All right, yeah. Clearly, this is what this podcast.
We're going to send the clip to the Giants.
Now they know his full birth
to the Jets, and boom. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not crazy about Fields, but I get it. I do 100% get it. I still think this team is probably just going to ride it out and draft a quarterback, whether it's next year or the year after. They could take Dart in the second round. It seems like they're in love with Dart. I saw a report that they're considering a trade up into the first round if he's there, if the Steelers don't take him. So, I don't know. I don't think the guy is in this draft for the Jets. So whatever it is, just let it happen. I'm not like one of these people. A lot of Jets fans think Justin Fields is magically going to click. His numbers are very identical to Zach Wilson, so I feel like we've seen it. The difference is we have the rushing ability. My guess is they'll build some offense around him. It seems like Tyler Warren's probably going to be the pick at 7. They're going to try and develop the short game for him, but we'll see.
And the Jets
I'm not crazy about it, but I get it.
Year.
So
comparison to what you expected.
So correct, but I think a lot of that was poor coaching and lack. And with Jeff Ulbrich, there was no it just didn't click for a defensive coordinator who got another job this offseason. I don't know how. There was no adjustments, no adapting. It was just cut and dry.
Well, I'm not Little Wiener anymore.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of that was coaching as much as it was the players were still there.
Much better. Sorry, Mike. I know you're venting.
Yeah,
Steve brought it up.
I'm venting. Yeah, why would you do this to me? I don't predict the playoffs for the Jets this year, but maybe it clicks for Justin Fields like it did for Sam Darnold, and we have our reclamation project and everything happened, or Geno Smith for that matter, and we have our reclamation. But I'm not banking on it. A guy who I saw something somewhere where he started something like 48 games or 50 games, and of those 50 games, he's only got I think I saw something that was 16 of them. He's either just barely clips 300 yards. That's really not a good average.
Let me ask you a question.
His average yards
per game is unbiased, not
going to help you
in opinion here. Yeah. So say the Giants
have I given biased
draft Sanders?
I hate the fucking team.
And the Jets draft Dart. So now the Giants have Wilson, Winston, and Sanders in their QB room, and Tommy DeVito. And the Jets have Dart and Fields. Who has a better QB room in New York, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think all of us, no matter how bad Russell Wilson is, all of us are going to say he's the best quarterback in New York, regardless this year. I think that's a fair assessment. And to be fair, I like Russell Wilson. I know people are down. Oh, he does, the last 2 years, but he's been respectable. So no, I would say that's not even. I think anybody who says
his second half last year
is a lie.
Pretty disappointing.
That's just not true.
I thought his last year in Denver.
But what he did last year, if you put him in, well, I shouldn't say that. Aaron Rodgers did have a better year than him, but right now, both teams
compared to what they
have. I mean, a big reason the Steelers were.
So he'd, either way. And I think that Russell Wilson is the best outcome for Malik Neighbors right now.
What about Jameis?
Just being honest, from a development standpoint, Russell Wilson is the best option for Malik Neighbors. I love Jameis Winston. I go back to the Quentin Lake interview. I asked him about it. I love Jameis Winston. I think that Jameis Winston's a great bridge quarterback. He's never going to you never know. He might light the league on fire. But I think he's a serviceable player. His teammates, you've never heard a teammate say a bad thing about him. And I think he's the kind of guy that you could pair with a rookie quarterback or even hey, I need you to give me 6 starts. And the team would rally around him. I think that he is.
What's that story from 2 years ago when he was on the Saints and they were blowing out?
And I said right away, that's a great story.
I forget.
Oh yes, so he wanted to get was it Jamal Williams? I think it was Jamal Williams. There was some kind of incentive in his contract that one more rushing touchdown he'd get whatever it was, $500,000. So it was it was the end of the game. They're on the goal line, and they were hammering Atlanta, and they handed the ball off. And at the time, who was that? Was that who was the Falcons coach then? He's the Steelers offensive coordinator now. Arthur Smith freaked out, screaming at whoever the coach was at the time.
Yeah.
And Jameis Winston was honest. He was like, "Listen, what did I do wrong? I played to win the game."
But when Baker Mayfield does it,
he got his
to
teammate
Mike
what he wanted.
Evans,
His
when
teammates
they're up
loved him.
8,
His
and
teammates
there's
all
actually
backed
shit
him
on
up.
the
They all
line if
loved
he gets
him.
fucked up. No one says anything. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, I agree. It's the same situation but different outcomes. I think a lot of it was because for some reason, it's not some reason. A lot of people have this mystique that Jameis Winston's a bad guy still because of the crab leg incident. Where if you listen to the story of the crab leg incident when he explains it, it apparently that was something the guy at the supermarket told him and multiple guys on the Florida State team. It wasn't just him. Hey, you guys need anything? Let me know.
Do you know how many Red Bulls I stole from my old job?
Here, these are yours. Walked out with it.
I shouldn't say that.
Whatever about it.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. He stole
A&P went out of business,
$30
so
worth of
there's
crab
no,
legs.
There's no statute of limitations. You're good.
He didn't even steal the whole crab.
Yeah, but the thing is that he didn't even steal it. Apparently, like, this was the thing that was known. Exactly. Where was its body? But no, teammates even said, like, they were told that they can go to this supermarket, take what they wanted, and they did. It wasn't just him. And he just happened to get caught. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't make a difference. But he's not a bad
legs
guy.
don't even look like much compared to what they're making.
His teammates love him. Yep. Dude, he did a thing right before the Super Bowl where he got it was obviously a sponsorship thing with some online seafood restaurant where he was saying that, order $250 worth of fish and get free crab legs on Jameis Winston.
Did you see some of the highlights of his Fox correspondent stint he did before the Super Bowl? Or he could retire tomorrow and he'll be set for life.
The greatest thing that's ever happened. I honestly, I think the biggest missed opportunity. Absolutely. And actually, I think we
Marvel
were
versus DC
when we did the Quentin Lake interview. We were talking about it beforehand.
That's what I remember from the Quentin Lake interview. The Marvel versus DC fighting games. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, that rivals. But no, me and Steve were talking before that, and I had said I'm going to ask about Jameis Winston, his pregames, whatever. And then we were talking about Jameis Winston, and I said at the time the biggest missed opportunity is Fox and all these sports networks not offering him a contract to just do correspondence nonsense.
You ever hear
because
his
that was huge,
though,
and nobody offered him, I guess. But that's a huge missed opportunity.
Smooth with it, actually. He doesn't say or he doesn't stutter or anything.
Yeah. He knows he's funny, and the thing is, he knows when to be funny, when to be serious. He's a good dude. Like I think it is so good that the Giants got him from a culture building standpoint. I mean that.
Knowing the Giants, though,
he may never throw a pass for you guys, but what he's going to do in the locker room is worth so much more.
He'll be starting in November, without a doubt.
Exactly, but they needed
somehow
it
Tommy
because there was some talk that there was some upset Giant players last year, but that comes with the territory of winning only 3 games. The one thing I will say, and I'll pass this over to Joe, I kind of agree with the Russell Wilson because, like, I don't think any franchise right now should give Aaron Rodgers what he wants, which is he wants them to wait for him. He kind of wants them to go on their knees and bow down to him and worship him. It's what I was talking to you about earlier in the night, Mike. It's a ego booster. He still thinks he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, it's just, I think it's ridiculous if any franchise, including the Steelers, who talked about, I think Mike Tomlin said he's willing to wait around for a decision from Aaron Rodgers earlier today. But I don't think that's the best move franchise-wise, because what does that tell the other guys that are trying to win positions? This guy who, has had a stellar career, possibly a top 10 quarterback career. But what has he done for you lately? And that's what this league is. It's the NFL is a what have you done for me lately type league. And for him, he went to the Jets and he tried to bring in all his cast of characters and he failed with the Jets. So, like, why are we giving this guy the time of day? Joe, I guess 2-part. Are you happy that the Giants just said, screw it, let's sign Russell Wilson? And what do you think about the Steelers possibly waiting around for Rodgers?
I think they should have kept Justin Fields with Skylar Thompson, of course, as a reliable backup. I still believe in Justin. That too. That would also work.
Start Skylar Thompson.
I think both things are true with Rodgers. I think he was about 30 or 40% better than people give him credit for last year, especially down the stretch. I mean, any decent defense with what he produced, they would have beaten the Colts, they would have beaten the Seahawks, they would have swept the Patriots. I mean, that probably should have been like an 8-win team at the very least with the way he played. But I'm not too sure in the specifics of what Rodgers actually would have hypothetically asked for. Was it more just for teams to wait on him? I mean, I'm sort of out of the loop on that. I know with the Jets, obviously, it was like the huge contract, the huge guaranteed. They had to bring Lazard in. They had to bring – well, Adams was something any team would want to bring in because I still think he's really good. But it was pretty clear, like, he had a bunch of demands. So, like, I don't, like, does he even have that kind of leverage anymore? Especially with an organization, well, especially with the Steelers, like, maybe with, like, the Titans.
I think that's what he's finding out
like,
now.
the Giants or the Steelers are, like, these old school proud organizations that, you know, like, just out of principle, they wouldn't want to be bigger than a player. I mean, it would have to be, like, Patrick Mahomes demanding
I don't even think
kind of shit. Or Rodgers 7 years ago demanding.
I don't think the Titans want to entertain him. I think they want to.
Well, no, they had the number 1 pick, so clearly they want to. They don't want to bring a rookie into whatever circus he probably would produce, because like he still does bring a lot of attention. I'm just saying, from like a monetary or asset standpoint, like would he cost that much? And to the second part of your question, I think you asked me like about the Russell Wilson part. That might have been the first question. I'd rather have Russell Wilson because I'm with Mike. I'm a little higher on what he can provide for a team. I think even if we had somehow gotten Stafford, who clearly was a few levels above any of the guys we've talked about, the Giants probably still aren't winning. They'll be very lucky. Maybe the schedule breaks their way and they win 9 games. But with this division, I really don't know. But I just don't see why the Steelers or the Giants, who have a roster capable of taking a decent – I would say the Steelers, who have a roster capable of taking a decent quarterback to the playoffs, would want to bring in a guy who was just about average and clearly still thinks he's bigger than the organization. And then the Giants, same reasons I wouldn't want Stafford there, but not because I don't think Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I just don't think the Giants are at
They also have the hardest schedule next year in all of football, I think.
Who?
The Giants.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, see, I said the schedule break the way. That's every fucking year. The Giants always have the hardest schedule.
I feel like it's every year that a team's supposed to rebound in New York. They get
when the Giants are supposed to go 4-12,
and then we
that's
get
when
easy
we win the
schedules
Super
and we
Bowl.
do nothing with it. That's just life. But just
should have happened this year, actually.
Probably. But I mean, back to the. I think the Steelers probably overplayed their hand as well as Rodgers did, though. Being completely fair, they lost both their quarterbacks, and now they're kind of saddled in a position where they have to make a move and do something. Whether it's draft one at 21, I think it's 21, right? Or sign Rodgers. The thing is, I think that they're so proud they won't bend to Rodgers' demands, which is a smart thing. But also, do you think Mike Tomlin? I don't know if this is going to happen, but I see they're obsessed with Jalen Milroe. Do you trust Jalen Milroe and Mike Tomlin to lead that team to the playoffs?
Because they're the Jets and not the
Jalen
Steelers,
Milroe, who I'm
kind of glad. I know hindsight's 20/20. I'm glad they took that shot, like to at least see what happened, even though it was a disaster. I mean, before the injury, you couldn't tell me you weren't pumped. A little bit.
I don't know if that's a no offense thing. I'm not offended.
Well, you're not the Steelers.
I'm not offended. I know. It's the Jets. Listen. There's nothing that you can say that I haven't said 6 inches from the mirror after a Jets game.
You get really close.
I get really upset. No, I mean it's just the Jets took a swing because they had to. They had a front office that was kind of actually in a similar situation to the Giants right now that needed to do something to keep their jobs. And, obviously it didn't work out. But, it is what it is. You take chances, right? I mean, at least they took the chance, I guess. But it's just whatever. I'm past it at this point. I moved on. Aaron Rodgers is no longer somebody I have to concern or worry myself about. I was pumped when it happened, but 4 plays in, I was
you sad Devontae Adams
and
left?
I had very little faith coming into this year that it was going to be any better. So,
not Devontae Adams.
I think. Wait, haven't we talked about this in the podcast? I'm a Garrett Wilson guy, and Garrett Wilson didn't mesh with Devontae. From what I understand, they didn't have much of a relationship. Garrett Wilson's the homegrown talent. He is the future of this team's receiving core. He's the guy you invest in. So I've been a proponent of. I don't want to say give Garrett Wilson what he wants, but he didn't want to play. He didn't want to catch passes from Rodgers because Rodgers played buddy ball. And Devontae was here and didn't mesh with the team at all. So, for me, it was obvious. Just let Devontae go. I would have liked to trade him probably rather than release him. But, I'm fine with not having him. I'm a big Garrett Wilson guy. I really do think that Garrett Wilson, with good quarterback play and correct coaching, we'd be talking about a top 3 or 4 receiver
really
right here.
Focus on giving Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson extensions after the NFL draft. So, I think that's a priority. You think it's a huge?
Really?
Which was a huge mistake.
Oh, earlier. Okay.
A huge mistake. I would have extended them early. Yeah, are you kidding me? Who saw? Yeah, well, Garrett Wilson, I kind of understood. Garrett Wilson's not going to get Jamar Chase and all that money. He's going to probably land in that T. Higgins, Devonta Smith area. But Sauce
Is
Gardner,
he as good
you
as
could
T.
have locked
Higgins?
him up 2-3 weeks ago before.
No, I think he's better.
Garrett Wilson. I think that he could be better than T. Higgins, but he hasn't. Like, you right now have a bargaining chip, right? Like, he hasn't been. Well, he's been really good, actually. Garrett Wilson, with what he's been dealt with, has been one of the best receivers in the NFL. But, like, right now, if you can get him for $30 million, get the deal done, cut the check, finish it, move on. Sauce Gardner, however, was a major screw-up. Because J.C. Horn got a deal he didn't deserve. Who else were signed? Was it Patrick Surtain signed the big deal? Like, you could have got him done before those guys, reset the market, and been set. Now you're looking at, realistically, was it Patrick Surtain that got $30 million?
He's
less than that, though. Surtain's
all right. So now what do you
Sauce
say, Sauce Gardner?
Sauce is get to Eric Stingley money, which is $95 million or something like that.
Sauce is.
Yeah.
Oh, Stingley was the one that got the $95 million deal and got 94 of it guaranteed, not the million or whatever. Yeah, no, Sauce Wilson's gonna surpass those deals. And listen, Patrick Surtain did it for 1 year. Sauce had 2 outstanding years and was poorly coached last year. And still, if you want to look at it, J.C. Horn, I think, was just barely missed the All-Pro team and was an All-Pro Pro Bowl player. And he had a worse year than Sauce Gardner on his worst year. Sauce Gardner is a top 2 corner in the NFL if he's not number 1. He had a down year. And like I said, you could have used that as a bargaining chip right now and signed him for $25 million, and he probably would have accepted it, and it would have been over. But now you got to pay him more than those guys.
They would not be able to do this.
No, they would not. But it's like splitting hairs. Like, I shouldn't be frustrated because I want these guys to make as much as they can, but knowing that this is a salary cap driven league, you could have got these 2 extensions done before having to give them, well, not Garrett Wilson, but Sauce. You're going to have to let him reset the market. Like, you're going to let him do it. And he'll probably produce another All-Pro season this year.
Though,
most likely.
Mike,
he's that good.
But
still, you could have got it in a manageable deal.
It's not like the Bengals where you're putting most of your salary cap into 3 offensive players. At least you're putting centerpieces on both sides of the ball. So now you got Garrett Wilson on the offense for a long term, and you'll have Sauce Gardner for a while on defense. Those are built tips right there. And you saw, like, when Revis was in his prime, he really changed that defense for the Jets. He shut down one side of the field. And like, I think, like, if you're going to give Sauce Gardner that type of money, you need to start treating him like that. Because
so I think that Aaron Glenn is definitely going to move him like Revis. He's going to shadow the number 1 receiver. And actually, I think that these zone defenses do hurt the corners. Like, just being completely honest, I've said that from the beginning. When a guy like Jalen Ramsey, for instance, only played, I don't remember what it was, the left side of the field, like, that hurts the player. Like, because there's going to come a point, a big point in the game where he now no longer has an impact on the game. And then last year, like I said,
he got old.
Until he didn't. But, I mean, Sauce should be shadowing and actually Patrick Surtain, what makes him so great is that he shadows the number 1 receiver. He literally, in the game against the Jets, he followed Garrett Wilson all over the field. Everywhere Garrett Wilson went,
do you think Sauce can be as good as Revis?
I'm pretty sure Garrett still went for 100 yards. Just saying, but
okay. You're not that lost in the Sauce. I'm just making sure.
I think Darrelle Revis is the best. No, and absolutely not. I think that Sauce Gardner in today's NFL is number 1 or 2 as a corner, but Darrelle Revis was like, I mean, anybody that watches Darrelle Revis play versus a corner today and doesn't say Darrelle Revis is the best corner they've ever seen is shot. He is the best corner as of right now that has ever played.
Deion was a better overall player. Deion? What about this? A lot more.
Deion did not do
shutdown corner. Revis was better, I think, and special teams.
Well, Deion played offense. So by that definition, then you should be drafting a guy like Travis Hunter because he's going to be better than Revis. When in reality, he couldn't do what Revis did. Nobody can just if you look at his first run with the Jets, the first 4 years of the Jets before he got traded, and I'll even give him a benefit of a little bit with the first year. The second year with the Bucks was not good. The first year was, and then that Pats year, those years nobody could touch him. What he did with the Jets, the amount of receivers he shut down, he was the greatest defensive player of that time. But Sauce is not. No, Sauce is not that. Revis could also tackle.
Deion Sanders was
and
a little
Sauce can't
closer
tackle.
than
Well, most corners today can't tackle.
I still agree.
But I would, if you told me right now, I had one game to win a championship and I had to shut down the number one receiver, I would never say Deion Sanders. It would be Darrelle Revis 100 way. And I would say that
if I could put Deion at punt and kick returner as well, I would take Deion.
You watched him play.
Well, I'll jump in.
No, this is.
I think you're using the two players for different reasons. I think Revis, is going to shut down the top receiver. They're probably going to get 30 receiving yards and be non-existent. I think you're really banking on Deion Sanders to come up with that big pick, maybe take it the other way for a touchdown. He was a highlight machine, and Revis didn't get a lot of interceptions because no one threw his way. They knew what would happen. Yeah.
Correct. You would argue that he was a very boring player to watch, but as a defensive player, boring is in most situations. As a defensive player, boring is what you want. When they're getting it's exciting. It's not very good, but I think all of us watched football then. We were young then, but I think we all appreciate what Revis did. When his matchups with Calvin Johnson, Chad Johnson, who else? Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, what he was doing to these guys that were like gods to us. And he made them look
against Steve Smith. He held him to 0 catches,
Megatron to one catch for 6 yards. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve Smith, yeah, and Chad Johnson too. He did the same thing. You remember Chad Johnson? That was the year we put all the corners in his locker room, was Xing them out, like Fred Smoot and everybody. And then he kept pointing to Revis, and then Revis shit on him twice that year. The wild card, the game to get into the playoffs, and then in the wild card game. What that did was amazing.
If there wasn't a
How about listen? I want to see him shadow.
I think lost in the sauce. You can't.
And then we can come up with a nickname. But until then, he's very good. No, you probably can't. There's a lot more.
Get A1 to sponsor you. Come on.
Who's he dating?
With Sauce
Wasn't
Gardner.
there rumors of him dating some big name celebrity?
There you go. Well, he has his own sauce actually.
Sauce Gardner. Wasn't he seen with someone? Look it up. Also, Joe, I want to go back to something you said. You talked about Sherman, but I don't know. Revis never had that secondary that Sherman had, so I think they had the ability to kind of do zone defense. Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor.
Right.
Cromartie was pretty good, actually.
Hey, wait a minute. Leonard. We had Antonio Cromartie. He was pretty good.
And they got rid of him. He's not the coach anymore.
I miss Jim Leonard. He's the coach of Wisconsin now, I think, right?
No, I was saying Sherman was great for a bit more of an extended period than Jalen Ramsey. And he played primarily zone, and they never switched off of that.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey though, I always felt slighted when is that the word I'm looking for? Everyone said that he was the best corner in the NFL, but I have a hard time. That
was the knock on Richard Sherman.
Only play one side of the field.
To Steve's point, he had
I don't know, I just
4 other All Pros on that side of the ball.
Also, talking about Ramsey, when he went to the Rams,
that
he was
Legion
one of the
of Boom
difference makers on that team.
Absolutely.
When they traded for him at the deadline. So I think Ramsey on the Jaguars, where he was a big reason they got to the playoffs that one season when they were supposed to be terrible, and then Ramsey on the Rams, he was pretty damn good. I wouldn't throw him in the category of Revis.
Night Train Lane or Revis.
Now, do you think that? But here's an honest question: do you think that? Yeah, who? Revis. But from a standpoint of guys like Sherman and Ramsey, do you think they're so good because there's nobody opposite side of them, so it's obvious to avoid them? You know who I remember like that was Namandi Asamoah. Everyone said that it was him or Revis were the best corners, and then he got traded to the Eagles, and people started to pass on him, and he got overexposed. But when he was on the Raiders, nobody threw at him because there's no reason to. You know, like I that's how I kind of feel about those guys. And I know they did it a lot longer than Asamoah did, but like Revis,
until Kelvin Benjamin
kind of till the end,
him.
you couldn't throw at him. He had some.
Yeah, well, you can only expect
that
from
was
a
when Revis
corner.
showed up to camp.
I mean, they're like running backs. Like you expect 5 or 6
his
elite
second
years.
go out the Jets.
Because that's like a young man's skill set.
Well, yeah. Well, side note, have you?
No, I don't think I've seen.
Have you ever seen what Darrelle Revis looks like now? Bart Scott, who I love and adore on ESPN Radio, talks about him all the time. Just calls him skinny fat.
That's a man who
he said after he didn't have to be
skinny,
life. He just
I got
a
name for you. Someone who did get thrown at a lot and turned it into interception. Asante Samuel, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Asante Samuel, yeah. Asante Samuel, oh God, he was
not Dante Hall, D'Angelo Hall.
As a Jet fan,
you got thrown on a lot.
D'Angelo Hall, yeah. D'Angelo Hall was good. The problem with D'Angelo Hall is he did get thrown on a lot. He was very good early on, and then he just faded. Ty Law was like that too, where Ty Law, people tested him a lot too. Yeah, no. To me, right now, if you ask me there's 2 positions I'm very certain on. If you ask me who the greatest defensive tackle of all time was and the greatest corner was, I'm going to tell you Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive tackle. And I'm going to tell you that Darrelle Revis is the greatest corner that I've ever seen.
I actually,
outside of that, I'm sure any of it.
If we're doing sure bets, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I was about to say Brady easily. I don't know how anybody.
And Jeff Eagles is the greatest coffin corner punter.
I don't know how
go back
argue he's not the greatest quarterback to ever do it.
Like 20.
Wait, I will give you another name.
To be fair, Jeff Eagles played for how many years? It was like
Matt
Lawrence Taylor's the best
20
linebacker
years,
of all time. I don't care what anyone says. And most people will say yes to that, I would say.
I'm not disagreeing.
Reggie White was a defensive end, right?
The meanest linebacker of all time.
Oh.
You ever see? Yes, he was. You ever seen the movie Cocaine Bear? Well, if you should watch it.
It was actually crack. It was more purified. And I'm not accusing him. He admitted it. He would play on crack.
He was the fact that man could do what he did on the amount of drugs that he did is impressive.
Would you say
but
Eric Reed?
Yeah, no, I won't disagree with that. I think that he's probably the greatest linebacker. I would find it very hard to argue that. I mean, he did so much. He was a hard hitter. He was a ball hawk. Yeah, I'd probably say he's the best.
You guys aren't quick to put Jerry Rice in number
probably
one.
The greatest safety.
He clearly just didn't mention.
What about running back?
That's the one.
The wide receiver, yeah.
This is what happens when we have 2 college games on. We start talking about this.
I'm going to be biased. I still think Barry Sanders is probably the greatest talent. But to me,
but he doesn't
if the Jets didn't run Curtis Martin to the ground, he would have broke the record. I think he was that special.
He was a Hall of Famer, first ballot, but I don't think
you're talking
there.
And I don't think he wants
Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. Yeah, I mean,
I just hate when people say Emmitt Smith.
Who's the best in the 21st century?
If you ran the ball
Adrian
for 36
Peterson?
years,
because I think LaDainian Tomlinson kind of gets lost on people.
No, I would probably say it's LT, but Adrian Peterson's right. Well, you know what? Adrian Peterson had that one big year, though.
I don't know.
That's a really
LT
good
was
question. I don't
ridiculous.
know. Who would you go with?
Because he was.
What about Henry now?
He was a much better pass catcher, and that's got to count.
That 28 touchdown year.
You can throw him there.
That's still the pass catching.
I don't think so. That feels like a very I don't know. He was very good.
Frank Gore?
But those 2 guys were at their prime were different.
I'd probably take Derrick Henry for a single outdoor playoff game.
Frank Gore, I kind of feel like is the Emmitt Smith category. Yeah, Emmitt Smith played
forever for a running back.
It wasn't that long. 14 years.
You can't count his Cardinals years.
14. I'm trying to look here. Frank Gore was 15.
I think Sean Green gets left out.
Adrian Peterson actually played longer than everybody.
Mike looked up right away.
Fuck you. All right, so here I'm gonna So this is like I said, I don't think Emmitt Smith is the greatest running back of all time, but people do say that because of rushing yards. So Emmitt Smith, number 1, Walter Payton, number 2, Frank Gore, number 3, Barry Sanders, 4, Adrian Peterson, 5, Curtis Martin, 6,
Frank
LT,
Gore is
7,
the
Jerome
Cal
Bettis,
Ripken
8,
Jr.
Eric
of the
Dickerson,
NFL.
9, and Tony Dorsett, 10.
He just kept showing up.
I like Frank Gore.
He
plays long. He played
back
16 years. I would say Barry Sanders is the best running back.
Fullback? Yeah, I think so.
He was a fullback, wasn't he? Oh, here. Who was? Listen, I was watching it this weekend. I got bored. I was like, I want to watch the best NFL highlights ever. I need to get amped up. So I went to Old Reliable, Mike Allstott.
Joe and I
the greatest highlights ever. There is nobody that has a better highlight reel than he does.
I think
Brad Johnson.
I want fullbacks to wear those pads again.
What was
the
it like
oversized neck rolls and the I don't know. It added like 30 pounds of muscle, those pads.
I honestly do think that with the way the NFL is running, with now that defense players are getting like leaner and longer, that the fullback will make a comeback. I full-heartedly like. I'll use prime example. Sauce Gardner, who can't tackle at all, is like 6'3", 190 pounds. What is he going to do with a guy like Mike Allstott's running at you in the open field? I would cry. I would get in the fetal position. Or like look at some of the outside linebackers around the league now. I'm just trying to think of somebody here in New York. Like I'll use Kayvon Thibodeau, he's lean and tall. Like what is he going to do when a guy that's 5'11", 240 hits you? Like you know what I mean? Like it would make sense to go back to that power eye style fullback running.
You're
get
gonna
a guy
have
like
to
Derrick Henry behind him. Like I think
you're gonna have
that's
to get
the
the
way the
traditional
NFL needs to trend
coaches.
back.
Like
or it
Harbaugh coming back to the Chargers is good for that cause because he likes to use a fullback. But I don't know, like is it Ben Johnson using a fullback when he was in Detroit? I can't remember. Did they?
We interviewed a fullback.
They did use a fullback,
right?
But not like. But it was more like a receiver. Well, I guess it was kind of like it was like a Tony Richardson style fullback. Yeah, no, I think that you'll see, but it's all basic tendencies, right? Like what's going to happen is as defenses get bigger, like I say, leaner, faster, you're going to want to run that power style football. I think it's an easy transition. I think you'll see newer coaches running that style. I think the Jets, Tanner Engstrom is going to run that style of offense. It's very obvious they're going to run a power offense. So I think you're going to, and Harbaugh does it. I think that the Ravens, John
the 49ers have
does
been
it,
doing it. They never got rid of it.
Jim does it. I think you're starting to see that style come back. No, like I think you're seeing, and it's the Shanahan style offense.
We're going to see a fullback with 1,000 receiving yards. That's how I think that's good for football. Back.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
I'll bet you $5 we see it in the next 20 years.
But I miss the days of like Lorenzo.
I forgot.
You still owe me.
I'm not going to accept any bets. I have one going with Steve already.
I said Cam Newton would have a better career than Jake.
I don't owe you anything. What bet did I lose?
2011 draft. I know it's subjective, but Cam Newton clearly did. And the 2010 World Cup final, I said that Spain would beat the Netherlands. And yeah, I said you didn't believe in the tiki-taka, and I
definitely did not bet on you.
Yeah, clearly you don't because you got it wrong.
I don't watch
Mike, you
soccer.
realize he didn't work for a while, so he's trying to get all your money.
I've been saying that for 14 years.
He has a little book in his room that's like.
I haven't had the chance to talk to you about it.
Since
that's the only reason I wanted you to do this podcast. I want my fucking money back.
When you added me to the podcast, Dugan finally was able to cross that list off, that name. So yeah, me and Steve have a bet going on that Steve probably doesn't even remember. Do you remember what our bet is?
No,
it's not. It's about Tyler Warren having a better rookie season than Colton Loveland.
50.
Yes.
We have a $50 bet that injuries. We did say injuries do cancel the bet within reason.
Pay the money on mode. Then we can start from scratch.
I'll make one with
Mike, when
Dugan,
the
what's
Jets
your bet?
pick Tyler Warren.
I don't owe you anything. I listen right now. If just actually, to be fair, the Jets love Loveland. Apparently, they've done a lot of work with him. So I don't know where the Jets are going to go. And apparently, a lot of people feel that the Jets could take Loveland at 7, which is going to suck for me, obviously. But either way, like I said, the right move for the Jets.
Handshake through the computer. If the Jets, that is the right move in this draft. Pick Loveland. I will buy my first ever Jets jersey. I will wear it.
I'll buy it for you.
I'll buy it with Mike's money.
Side note:
10.
Where do you guys want? Yeah, the $5 that apparently I owe him. 10. Oh,
you better hope it's not.
Is there interest? Is it compounding?
The way LIBOR's been the last 15 years.
So we talked about
You're fucked, buddy.
Oh God. So. On a side note, we talked about the Jets. What do you guys
the other day? I'm sure you saw it on
Where do you think the Giants are going in the draft?
Apparently, it's like the worst kept secret that the Giants want Sanders. So I'm still sticking with Sanders, but I would love for them to go elsewhere now that they have the 2 veteran quarterbacks in the room that can buy you some time to possibly figure out the free agent market in a few years, or try to trade up in the draft if you happen to do okay. Or you just think again and you get another draft pick when that awesome QB class happens next year. But I would love, honestly, if Travis Henry's on the board, like I would love for them to pick him. But I know the Giants are going to do something stupid like pick Sanders and try to make him their franchise quarterback. So that's where I'm leaning.
I think it'd be an awkward QB room at that point because you've got 2 veterans and then a rookie. I don't know. Dugan, what's your opinion
on how much you should play SGA
prospects?
They locked up the number 1 seed like 2.5 weeks ago, and what a unique position they're in. Because I watched the highlights the last couple nights, and I take it back what I said about the Thunder. Like SGA has got some of the quickest fucking change of direction dribbles for a guy his size I've seen. It's almost like if Allen Iverson was 6'5". It's crazy some of the shit that he's doing, and I'm almost worried when because he still goes to the basket hard, and they locked up the number 1 seed like with 15 games to go.
That was a really long-winded way of saying I haven't started paying attention to the draft.
I don't know. No, we're in that weird part of the season where it's basically about like seeding almost at this point. It's just weird because the Cavaliers, they actually have to keep playing because they had that 4-game skid, and the Celtics are winning like 8 out of every 10 games. So I think they're only like 5 games ahead. But the Thunder are just like, I think they're like 15 games clear of the Rockets. Like they're just dicking people. So like, are they going to be ready when the intensity kicks back up for a young team like that?
Which is
I don't
huge.
know.
Our boy Johnson's coming back.
What's up?
He's got weird.
Yeah. I'm still nervous about the Bucks. I know we beat them the other night, and I know they're not the same team they were. I think I just have PTSD from just them blowing us out the last 10 years. But I would much rather, even though they're a tough matchup, I'd rather see the Pistons.
See?
By the way, if Derrick Henry rushes for 1,000 yards this year, he breaks the top 10 in rushing yards all time.
Yeah, my point.
Damn. He was a slow starter, too.
He's at 11,500.
Yeah, his first 2 years, he was
and
like
he's literally,
below
and he's
average.
Done it in the shortest amount of time.
Also, I said Travis Henry. I meant Travis Hunter. I always mess up his name. I don't know why. Can we give 5 minutes to talking about torpedo bats, or should we save it for the day?
What, a torpedo bet?
I'm in. But I want Dugan to lead. I want Dugan to lead the conversation.
He got up too.
So I think that is good. It's funny how everyone's saying it's cheating, and but the funny thing is that it started with the Dodgers, and Bellinger and he had run this idea. I was reading a story on it. Run this idea. It was all with him.
MIT,
and
it was MIT.
it took a NASA physicist that the Yankees hired to figure this whole thing out for him. But yeah, yep. And I personally, I don't see what's wrong with it. At the end of the day, if you're a pitcher and you know that they've moved the sweet spot of the bat down the barrel, why wouldn't you just pitch them outside the whole time?
Because
let's see what happens when you try and hit a 97-mile-an-hour fastball at the tip of that bat.
The outside of the zone, I feel like, is for two-strike pitching a lot of the time. And a lot of pitchers like to live out there when they get to two strikes. But if you're not even getting up to two strikes in the plate appearance, then it doesn't even matter. My thing with it, okay, so I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, I feel like this is similar to like a tush-push type thing where it's legal, but it's going to work 92% of the time. It's going to make the Yankees offense way better because they are using analytics and they're realizing that this is the part of the bat where the ball's going, and we're going to put the most wood on the bat and really buff it up. But there's a few things for me. Why did they not break it out to why did they do it the second game of the season? That's kind of weird to me that they I was reading that they didn't break it out till
no, they used it game one.
Judges, and I know,
but again, it's not all players are using it. It's only Bellinger. Judges, no, it's only Bellinger.
But my other thing is
Volpe
and scored 34 runs in 2 games. They have like 13 home runs, something crazy. 15 now. Like, it's wild the jump that they made. So, but
15.
Let's go back to, and I don't know if these two compare, but let's go back to when like Sammy Sosa was playing and he got suspended for corking the bat. Doesn't this feel like a little similar to that? Like you could.
No, I don't think it's that simple, or it's similar to that. I mean, corking a bat, which, to be fair, I don't understand back then why they were doing that. Like MLB caused that themselves. I want to make that clear because they allowed all the guys who use cork bats and BP to hit home runs 500 feet. No, that's flagrant cheating because you're hollowing the inside of a bat, causing a larger trampoline effect. That's cheating. This isn't that. I mean, these guys still have to get around on the fastball. They still got to make contact with it. You were a former pitcher. As a pitcher, you can adjust to that.
And I talked to
and they will adjust to that.
A lot of my kids about this with two-strike pitching. You want to wait on the ball, especially a fastball on the outside corner because you want to catch it like middle of the plate and not ahead of the ball. And it also gives you a chance to catch up to the off-speed pitch if you do get fooled. But that makes me think about like the Jazz Chisholm home run today, where it was 3-2, and like how you guessing curveball on a 3-2 pitch. But I don't know if he got fooled, but maybe he was reading fastball and he caught it out in front of the plate. That ball flew off his bat. The way the ball left his bat was much different than I see with a regular bat. So I don't know. I have to see how it plays out, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's also all other teams, and if they're not already, they're going to start using it. Like, so then it comes down, does baseball ban it, or is it everyone's using it? I personally, I think that as a pitcher, and again, you could speak to it more than I can. I call it. I didn't, you could speak more than I can. It's going to cause you to throw early strikes. You're going to want to get out on the batter right away. Like against Jazz Chisholm, if I'm facing him, I'm trying to get my 2 strikes early. And then he's not going to see another ball inside. And the same thing with Volpe. Like, I'm going to get out on you early, and that's going to be my goal. But if you miss, it's going to hurt. Which, to be fair, that hanger that he hit today, the second home run, I think that was
also down in the zone.
Jazz,
that's a hard pitch to hit out. Like
his arms were way out in front of that ball. It is, but I mean, he was so early on it too. Like, if you watch it again, like he was early on it. It should have went foul, to be fair. And I think he thought it was going to go foul. He just got around on that thing really quick. I think it was partially what you said. I think he was fooled on it. He made contact, but again, you changed the sweet spot of the bat and you make contact. Obviously, you're going to get those results.
And he said, "Have you seen my last few seasons?" He feels like he doesn't need to make the adjustment. Is he kind of calling out his friend? Like, what is he doing there? Like.
Not at all. I mean, to be honest with you, and so, Joey Zero, who's, one of my best friends, we have this argument all the time about who the greatest hitter in baseball is right now. Aaron Judge, I don't, truthfully, he's fine. Like, he could do whatever he wants. He's the best hitter in baseball, in my opinion. So no, I don't think he's calling anybody out. I think he's just being honest that he doesn't need it. And I think that he's just fundamentally the best hitter in baseball. But the one thing I'll say to that is if it gets prevalent and super popular around baseball, I'm sure that he'll end up trying it. But a guy like Judge, would it benefit him? You're going to say, obviously, it would. But I'm starting to think nobody pitches him the same way. Either they're way outside, and they're when you get them down 2 strikes, you're throwing the pitch way outside. Very few people even jam him now as it is. So where's that bat going to help him? You know what I mean? Like, the only way to strike him out and get him out is to throw the pitch outside. You can't end load a baseball bat. They're essentially end loaded now. So certain guys, I don't think it'll benefit at all. Him, a guy like Ohtani, who's again, you pitch him outside to get him out. Stanton, I don't think a bat like that works for those guys. It's the guys that are consistently getting jammed inside, like Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm.
Let me
I'm trying to think of a big prevalent. I think it would benefit Altuve. Guys that are getting jammed inside.
I don't know about, like, Judge seems like he's pretty mentally strong, mentally sound.
Oh, absolutely.
But in baseball, you do not fix what's not broken. Do not touch what's working for you. And Judge, like you said, over the past few seasons, has an argument to be one of the best hitters in the game. So you're not going to come up to Judge during spring training and be like, hey, we have this torpedo bat we've been working on. A bunch of MIT guys worked on it. Like, you should give it a try. It's like, no, Judge is going to continue to do his thing. We're going to make sure that the other guys are catching up to where they should be, but
what's a torpedo bet? Oh,
it's a torpedo bat.
All my bets are torpedo bets.
So if you didn't know,
it's where they weight wood at the end of the bat or something for
do you honestly
hitting.
know
All right, well, shut the fuck up. I got
no?
close. All right, I know the Yankees are. I know the Yankees are doing it.
If you,
Barry Bonds.
So what they did was,
yep.
You know how the sweet spot of the bat is middle to the end of the barrel.
It has to do with the weighting of the wood.
They've now taken it and moving it closer to the handle. So actually what it is like, for instance, when guys miss a pitch inside, it tends to just be a little dribble or a pop-up. Now they've moved the sweet spot there, and those guys they're barreling up the ball more consistently. So the ball's... No, it's like it's the densest part of the barrel. The barrel that's the part of the bat that's going to have the most. So when you hit it, has a trampoline effect.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
Yeah, see, it's weird. You see how it's shaped? It's got a thin end, and then it's sweeter. And
Oh, clear. Oh, well, I'm not that anymore.
Dugans are a little bit smaller.
But yeah. That's no different than George Brett corking his bat.
Sammy Sosa did.
Smelling it.
Oh, no, that was Pine Tar.
Yeah.
Pine Tar, sorry.
Sammy Sosa did. George Brett.
Excuse me.
He had the Pine Tar, yeah.
I don't.
Which, to be completely fair, who cares? Actually, I want to talk to you about this because we haven't talked in a couple of years previous to the podcast. What was your opinion on Spider Tack? You probably
I don't know.
Never used it, but
I don't think it does. I don't think it's something that needs to be used. I think a little rosin and spit can get you to where Spider Tack is.
But how did you feel when players were coming out? Like, I actually think Aaron Judge was one of them.
Yeah.
I think Juan Soto
I mean, that's the
competitor. They don't care what
it was giving pitchers a clear advantage. So I think anytime, and we're living in a game where baseball's making a big time attempt to get offense back to where it was in the early 2000s, late 90s. I think baseball feels like that's what puts fans in the seats. That's why I think this torpedo bet's going to continue to live on, because baseball's going to be like, oh, teams are hitting with it, and we're going to allow it to happen. But Spider Tack, maybe they went a little over the top with like the checking the pitcher every inning and making sure. But I do think it, I do think it gave pitchers an advantage. Now it's a question of how big of an advantage was it, because like when they came after Garrett Cole a few years ago, I thought that was kind of silly because it's like Cole is a dominant pitcher to begin with. He doesn't need spider tack, and it's like, what was that doing to his season as is, even if he was using it? It's
Well, I mean, the biggest concern was his revolutions dropped, and I'm a Yankee fan, and who cares? He won a Cy Young after it anyway. But his revolutions on the ball definitely fell way off. They were down like 400 RPM. Like, I mean, it was a huge
exactly.
drop off, but
I
that
mean,
proves how good
Garrett
of a pitcher
Cole's
he was.
going to get you the results regardless if he has the spider tack or not. So I think we blew it out of proportion in some ways, and it got silly because there was a few times I remember when Scherzer was on the Mets, they checked his glove. I think he got suspended at one point. And I was like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, just let Scherzer go out there and pitch and do his thing. He's a great pitcher. So it's nothing new in baseball. The baseball players are always looking for ways to get ahead of the next person. And this is.
Well, fundamentally, I think it's the hardest game of all the sports, and I stand by that. Fundamentally, it's just the hardest game to play, and everyone's looking for an advantage in it. But at the end of the day, it's funny because, like, football, for instance, everyone's like, oh, that guy's got great hands. We've all wore football receiving gloves before. We have great hands. You know what I mean? Like, they're allowed to have that advantage. But in baseball, everything's illegal. I just feel like we have witch hunts in baseball. If you want to ask me, and me and you have had this conversation a lot about what's killing the game, it's the witch hunts that we have. Like, this torpedo bat thing is going to accelerate. Everyone's going to start using it, and then we all know what the end result's going to be. It's going to be a witch hunt of, we need to stop this because purists are losers. Like, I want the game to get better. I want kids to want to play the game. It's a great game. We all grew up playing this game, and we've made it so convoluted and so.
No.
Actually, you know what?
Whatever you're saying, I quit the podcast.
I think we should find whatever. No, hear me out. I think that we should find whatever. We should find like a 12-year-old.
I think you guys do great as a two-man podcast.
And have him pitch to all of us and see who can get the most hits off of him.
That's my honest answer to that.
Dude, and you're telling me
I wouldn't hit anything. I can't hit a fucking underhand. The part of my brain that allows a stick to meet a ball was never connected. Steve used to try to fucking just throw the baseball with me out in his front yard, and I got hit in the fucking teeth from 20 feet away. And that's a true story. Not going to fucking happen, Mike. For my own safety and for the kids' safety. Not going to happen.
I haven't.
Great. Good for you. Fantastic.
So I haven't swung a bat, a baseball. I haven't tried to hit a baseball.
You would do the draft video.
10 years.
100% would.
What happened to just talking sports for an hour? This has become a whole how you do.
But I just threw myself under the bus. I said I'd be willing to go out and get struck out by a 12-year-old. Although I'm going to tell you, if I rock one off of him,
this is what we'll do.
That 12-year-old
Joe's going to do
never
his
play
draft
baseball.
video. Mike, you have to hit a
12-year-old.
12-year-old.
Rag it at him.
Pretty much.
I have to throw a football up in the air in an empty field.
No, we'll get a risk. Mike, we're going to get Mitch Bebo.
Okay. No, you chose the field.
I've never played quarterback, by the way. Or
I remember Mitch had some hands back in the day. Okay.
I can promise you that Mitch Bebo does not have hands anymore. Mitch got really comfortable in life, and I'm so happy for him for that. He's my cornhole teammate.
The video we will still use. Mitch
Really
Bebo.
good, but yeah, I don't. Those athletic days are long gone.
Stop using people's last names.
Who cares?
Dude, oh my God.
Exactly. There you go.
It's spelled Beebo. I would totally do that. Not joking. I totally would. Obviously, I'd love to do the video with Dugan because I think it'd be great.
Still,
I'm willing to put myself
which
out
implies
there
that you've done it before.
Baseball. So we all embarrass ourselves a little bit.
When was I a quarterback?
Think we could reach out to Rutgers
when I was
University
12 or 13,
and have
14,
like one of their
15.
linebackers hit us in pads? I thought that would be a funny video. I think.
Why would I want
have health
that?
insurance now, so maybe.
We
Not
should
at
try
all.
that. That'd be fun.
No, that sounds awful.
The second you're putting the pads on, you'll
the
think, "What the fuck did I
am
sign
not
myself
letting
for?"
anybody tackle me. That is not going to.
Didn't they did that in Jackass with
No, on the ride over
who
there.
was it? Was it
the mistake?
Was it Brian Urlacher or Clay Matthews?
Exactly.
Jared Allen. That was it. Yep.
They did with Jared
Allen.
Allen.
Like that downhill drill they used to do between the like.
That's not our stick.
Where you run like right at the person.
No, we shouldn't do any of this. No,
it might get me hurt.
This is stuff that can get us hurt. Dugan's thing doesn't get us hurt. My thing doesn't get me hurt.
Or my shoulder.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think Steve, you got to set it up. Get me. Who's your best pitcher on your JV team? Who do you got? Or eighth grade?
He's probably not throwing that, but like he's got junk. And
what is he throwing? What is he throwing? 82, 83? What I'm worried about that. I never hit a curveball when I was younger. Anyway.
Have one of the JV kids on your team hit us in pads. That'll
so right now what we have is Joe's doing the draft video. I'm excited about that because I'm ready for the interview questions. I think that will be great. Mike, you're hitting we'll try to find a 12-year-old without looking creepy. So Mike can hit a fast. Are you going to come out to?
You're literally a coach. You could literally say, "Hey guys, I got a friend."
Okay.
Yeah, for content, fuck yeah.
I don't care. All right, so
but I'm gonna tell you right now, he hits me, I'm charging the mound. And then, or we could do this. So I was a very competitive slow pitch softball player, and I could hit a ball really far. I could do a home run derby, but the deal is I could hit slow pitch. Your best hitter has to hit.
You're not hitting a softball as far as a baseball.
I doubt it. How I could promise you that I can still right now.
That's
off my fat ass. Go out there and hit a ball.
If somebody gets a hold of one and hits it to center field in a baseball game, it's going way further than that.
Freck's got a torpedo bat.
Yeah, but I'm not stupid. I just got to clear the 315 down the left. Their fault. I would love to hit a torpedo.
Do we have a 3-point
if one goes for sale, I will buy one and we will all go try and hit it.
Only at Hillside.
I'm down for that.
That's probably the most.
It's been 15 years, but I'm still used to the 9-foot rims.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I think that's probably the safest option for all of us is to go out and just stand in place and shoot threes. Mitch Stanfordson, he bought a home, and I think what we should do is one night go out and cut the 9-foot rim down and give it to him at his new house.
What would his reaction be?
A housewarming gift. Mitch, I could do this because, like I said, one of my best friends.
That's good. That's good. That's positive.
It's a bet, by the way.
What?
We do a 3-point shooting video. Loser, whoever comes in third place has to wear a Speedo to the beach.
We don't have enough views for this to be worth.
If
we hit 10,000, I'll do one of them. But there's no point.
I think we do.
We're just doing it for nothing.
I think this is what the bet should be because I said that I would do something. Dugan said that he would do something. What is what you're going to do, Steve?
Soccer. There's like no sports left. You're doing baseball. He's doing football.
I don't know what soccer's are.
Can you skate? All right.
Yeah, can you skate? Can you golf?
I'll go for a round of mini golf.
I don't know.
We don't even have to record
You can do baseball, too. There's got to be something in baseball that you...
Yeah, nice mandate.
You want to go on a date? We'll just go on a date. I was going to say do a 3-point contest. Whoever comes in last has to do the...
We'll do a decathlon of events, but the first one is getting hit by the Rutgers guy, and whoever survives will probably win it.
And
that's
Macri's
what it is. Whoever loses the
Macri's
3-point shooting contest has to get hit by a Rutgers
by a football player.
Has to have the 35-year-old body fucking broken in half. That's great.
Yeah, but no, because that's going to be hard to get a Rutgers football player. That is your thing.
It'd be getting the medical stuff cleared, and it'd be getting me willing to fucking potentially paralyze myself for no reason. Okay.
No, I'm not participating.
Right, why
in this.
can't it be Wade? Why are you leaving me on
am
the
not
island?
letting somebody hit me. No,
Can we talk about the NBA? No, it's fucking late. We should end this.
because you can speak up.
This is the rough draft.
You can speak up for yourself
All
and
right,
defend yourself.
we'll catch you guys next week.
Steve gets 250 followers. We're all fucking David Blaine now, risking our fucking necks.
I just got an idea. I think we should encase
Steve in the
budget.
budget. We had that bracket pool.
Someone has to do the ice challenge then. You remember the
ice bucket?
What's the ice challenge? The ALS? No.
Only if I lose the 3-point contest.
No, Steve. I'm going to contact Rutgers as soon as I get off this podcast. Have a friend that wants to get hit by one of your players.
All right, guys.
Those 10 shots would be for your life.
Let's see if we can perform under pressure.
D1 football. After not shooting a basketball for 2 years, probably none of us have shot a basketball.
Right, we can get like a Middletown South kid to hit us or something.
Actually, I played basketball semi recently.
How was that? How's the cardio?
It's been a year. Oh yeah, I played at work. We had a game at my previous job a year ago. We used to play every month. We had one full court game. We rented a place and played. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I could still shoot the shit out of the ball. The issue was when we got to we played 10-minute quarters. When we got to minute 7 of the first, I realized that things weren't going great internally. But I still went for 24 points in one of them, and the other one I think I went for 18. I was fine.
Oh,
it was good.
So it wasn't stomach related. Okay.
No, I think it was fat. No, it was just fat. I literally jogged from 3-point line to 3-point line. I was breathing like I just got railed by a donkey. It hurts. So breathing hurts.
At some point in the history of this podcast,
breathing was rough. My legs felt like Jello for 3 weeks.
I think Steve wants
God, if there was ever a point that I wish nobody responds to your email, it's that one.
Without the pads on, though.
Steve's.
Oh my. It's actually safer medically.
You know, could you imagine when one of Steve's kids at school
I had a fellow coworker.
I really hope that none of the kids listen to your podcast.
Her son who's a sports fan,
oh no! This isn't. He'll stop following sports.
I never sent it to her, and then she was like, "Hey, you never sent me the podcast." I was like, "Oh, I'll send you later."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's gonna come back to work and be like, "Hey, my son has a lot of questions."
Well, you can say ours.
Joe Dugan guy.
We're long past that.
Do you want me to refer to you as Mel?
We've already doxed ourselves.
You got Big Mac and you got Freckles.
It's the one from childhood. So
I can give an address. Hold on, let me look up Joe's address.
Yeah, it's been the same for a while, Mike. You can get a phone book from 1994. It's the same one.
Look at the yellow pages. Look up that last name.
You know what? Let me real quick see if I can. I'm looking it up. Let's see if it comes.
Actually, Google will probably have.
I won't say it.
Yeah.
No, I think you've been to my house.
I got your address here.
John DeFaro.
I've been to your house. Yes, I have.
I know where. I could probably still go to your old house off of
16
memory.
years.
I just don't know the
John
address.
DeFaro.
Well, I'll make friends with whoever's there.
Anymore. Nobody lives there from the Freck family.
Did you know there's a Mike Freck that used to live here?
Could you imagine? Hello, how are you?
These walls could talk.
Oh, they know it. Listen, they know who I am.
Oh,
we sold the house to somebody we knew, so they know who I am. Yep. So yeah, that'd be. Hey, you mind if I just come in and hang out for a little bit? I used to crack walnuts in this room right here.
All right, that's a wrap.
Whoa, there was none of that.
Yeah, and that was great NBA talk. I'm glad we got to fit that in. There you go with the names.
All right,
John Tafaro.
next week. Bye-bye now.